Scotty. Unbelievable performance, Van Gisbergen and Kelly. Rick Kelly's been very impressive so far this year, and we know what a great job that Shane has done. Whincup and Pye with the question marks surrounding Jamie Whincup at the moment. Followed then by Chaz Mostert and David Reynolds. Craig Lowndes was chasing balance in qualifying, but is reasonably happy with his car, together with former local boy Michael Caruso next in the queue. James Courtney, another of the former locals, also there, together with Tim Slade, who was a birthday boy yesterday.
James Golding, his best qualifying performance in his career, to be 13th, alongside another local boy, Mark Winterbottom, who just... Another Western Sydney lad with James Courtney down the road from Dernside. Will Davison, Lee Holdsworth in 19 and 20. Nick Percat, who wouldn't be happy with that performance, alongside Garth Tander. So James Golding's done a good job to out-qualify his very experienced teammate. Simona Di Silvestro starts in 23 with Blanchard and Todd Hazelwood at the rear of the grid. So this start is always difficult here, remembering we've spoken all weekend about speed. The other thing we've spoken about is tyre degradation. The low grip level and the high wear rate of the tyre will be an incredible story through the course of the evening. The other part will be, how do you get these cars off the line? Very easy to have too much wheel spin, very easy to bog them down. It's a downhill start, and we've got the two series protagonists in position 1 and 3. There's the points. 131 points separates McLaughlin from Van Gisbergen. Whincup and Reynolds, 3rd and 4th.
Last time out here in 2017, we had two races, one Saturday, one Sunday. Fabian Coulthard was winner on Saturday. Jamie Whincup was the winner on Sunday. McLaughlin had a couple of pole positions. Wind the clock a little further back to who did what in previous years. Jamie Whincup in 16 together with his teammate Shane Van Gisbergen. At 3 races the previous year. Mostert was in amongst it there as well, and it's heartening to see that they've got some reasonable form going with that car. Hopefully they've turned a corner at Tickford Racing. Great scene on the roof, on top of the Australian Racing Drivers Club, the ARDC Cafe area. The Australian Racing Drivers Club manage and run and own this circuit. That's the view from the pole sitter. McLaughlin coming up to the line. Short, sharp blast, as Greg Murphy outlined, to turn number 1. And then it's going to be a battle to find your space as you make your way down towards turn 2. And you can bet your life there's going to be some diving from all kinds of angles as people try and make ground early on while they can before the tyre degradation sets in. It's heavy air out there at the moment, thick air out there at the moment. The cars will be making great power. Very good conditions. There's virtually no wind at all, but the temperature is sinking fast. So there it is, row 1. Shell V-Power Racing, McLaughlin and Coulthard.
The last cars are coming round into their grid spot.
Row 2, Shane Van Gisbergen, Rick Kelly. Starter preparing. The championship position, McLaughlin leads by 131. Gizzy is 2nd, Whincup now 3rd.
In their grid spot now.
Settling and getting ready. The stars are up tonight and on the grid. What a spectacle. 26 beautifully presented cars. Watch for glowing brakes, the exhaust blast and the sparkle of supercars in the Sydney darkness. And a great start by McLaughlin down the inside. Watch for Van Gisbergen. He tries to jam it up there from row number 2 into position 2. Coulthard on the outside. Van Gisbergen 3rd. Rick Kelly also diving, but watch for Coulthard on the outside of his teammate at turn 2. A great start though by McLaughlin. Van Gisbergen offering a pile of resistance, but it's a wall of Shell V-Power cars.
There was nothing in that. That's as close as we've ever seen in terms of the top 3 cars. Their starts were so similar, and they've hung on. The 2 Shell cars have hung on. Whincup's grabbed a spot. He's gone around the inside and been able to grab that position from Rick Kelly. But what a start by the top 3.
Towards turn 6 for the first time now. Shane has a look down the inside on Fabian and has done it. He gives him decent space on the exit, but he cleared him and drops into 2nd. So that splits cars 17 and 12.
So now it's on. Championship 1 and 2 are 1 and 2 in the race. Have a look at the drama as it all unfolds down into turn 8. They're still bumping. That's Whincup, who's trying to get around the inside. Everyone's out there in the dirt and just watching about whether they can still maintain control. Does Whincup do the crisscross? Yes, he does. Does he give him a bump? It's right up the inside of Fabian. I'll have the run down there now. This is Dave Reynolds.
Fabian's battling. And Shane is closed right up on the back of Scotty. His opening lap, Van Gisbergen's been very impressive. Fabian's got a battle on his hands. Oh, contact at one in the dark. Whincup gets through. That was 270 kilometres an hour and there was a bump exchange.
That's just because you can't see the other car properly. Fabian turned in. He didn't realise that he was up there so far. They're still going on with it, and Van Gisbergen's taken ground off McLaughlin.
Did he round him up? Did Gizzy get by then?
No, but close.
He was very, very close. And here's another dive. So now Coulthard coming back on the inside at turn 4. So Shane looking very aggressive, very fast at the moment. And very well wide of turn 5 was Whincup. Mostert in here too. So is there a balance issue or is it just the starting tyre pressures for Fabian Coulthard? Saw it having a fair wriggle on the run into turn 7 then in the rear, so it was sliding quite a lot in the rear for Fabian. Van Gisbergen's done the fastest first sector. He's got the eyes on and much closer now to the back of Scotty McLaughlin. It's officially 0.4 of a second. 76 laps remaining. This level of intensity is not going to work. So it might pay to actually just pause for a moment and think, is Coulthard driving to a number?
Or have they set the tyre pressures so low to try to avoid the degradation, because we know it's going to have a huge impact later in this stint. How was the contact with Fabian and Jamie into turn 1? That was so close. 75 metres a second or 270 kilometres an hour. I heard Mostert say, how's the grip level in these cold conditions? He can't believe how much grip there is. And you can see that car's responded. So Mostert, in terms of pace, has been able to drag himself right up in behind. So here we go. That's Lowndes down the inside of Caruso and right in behind Reynolds.
And Michael dive-bombed Craig down at 2 and actually cleared him for a moment, and Craig's taken that back again. So that's a great exchange between those two. And Davey has a look, and I think might actually have the momentum to get down the inside. Slade's up on the outside. James Golding has a little bit of contact there with Tim Slade as well. And through goes Reynolds. And that's for position number 10. David Reynolds, Michael Caruso, Tim Slade, James Golding, Jack LeBrock, Lee Holdsworth, Mark Winterbottom, Anton Di Pasquale, who's been battling with some steering troubles with that car. Changed the steering rack in it.
So our real winner is James Courtney, but have a look how close this start is. The two front cars, they walk off together. So does Rick Kelly, and so does Shane Van Gisbergen. Have a look how close those 4 cars are into turn 1. You wouldn't see that. If you had 100 starts, you'd never see all 4 cars like that. This is Van Gisbergen on board. There's hardly a difference. You can just still see the Altima on the right-hand side, and there's nothing in it. 2 shell cars don't make contact, almost. You can just see there on the end of the corner, very close. And Scott wheels it out, moves it over so he can make the first apex and make it nice and accurate. Now, Van Gisbergen and Coulthard. So Shane tries to hang around the outside, but he does the crisscross. Watch this. He ends up firing down the inside, looking for the spot. Has to get out of the throttle. You can see the level of activity, and don't the cars look fantastic under lights? Here he goes. This is the run.
And Fabian was chasing that car on the opening lap. It was sliding a lot. There's Shane down the inside at turn 6 on the replay and cleared him. Once he knew he was clear, he came back onto the racing line.
And this is it. So he flicks back out from the left, turns it back in with a late apex, gets the run out of 5, and then asserts himself here with a nice braking effort. Now he just escorts Fabian just a little bit wide, little bump, runs him up on the exit curb, and is able to grab the spot. And that then, for the championship, puts 1 and 2, McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen into 1 and 2. This is Whincup having a look at his teammate, that little bump. He gave him racing room, there'll be no drama with any of that. And then have a look at all this into turn 1. Now just behind, pay particular attention right here, right now, bang. That is so close to being a monster incident.
Here it is from Jamie's point of view. So a grab 6th gear just down here. He's got a run on him. And then Fabian just tucks it. Let's listen. Little contact there, just disturbed the back of Jamie's car. Bit of blue smoke. The replay's pretty lively. I'm starting to sweat up just watching that stuff. The way in which Shane attacked on that opening lap, and you could hear him just paddling the throttle through turn 1, searching for grip and trying to get on with it. Again, he made the best start of the top 4 cars, really. His form off the line, 0 to 100 kilometres an hour, which is the way in which the drivers and team measure it. It's very impressive now in the series of starts in the recent past.
Man of the match so far, the first stanza, is James Courtney, the local boy, the Penrith fan, who's up 5 positions. So Van Gisbergen up 1, Whincup up 2, Coulthard down 2, Mostert up 2, Courtney up 5. Rick Kelly was the real loser. He's down 4. McLaughlin leads from Van Gisbergen, Whincup, Coulthard, Mostert, Pye, Kelly, Lowndes, Reynolds, Caruso, Golding, Cam Waters, LeBron.
Shane Van Gisbergen just said on the radio to Grant that the tyres have now come up. So it's taken a few laps for them to stabilise, but he's got good speed now and obviously sounds pretty happy with the car. 0.6 of a second is the gap between McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen officially. There's Whincup. He's sitting in 3rd. He's got some pressure on at the moment. So Coulthard and Mostert line astern here. This is turn 5.
Got the run. He's had a couple of goes there, hasn't he? He gets through the middle of turn 5 really nicely.
But it's a really awkward corner, even though it changed several years ago and they straightened out what was a little approach kink to that corner. It's a very difficult one to pass. Just the racing line through turn 6 is pretty much a one car width only scenario. Hairpin at turn 8. Now Mostert looks stronger, but he's got to find a way to apply it at the moment. That's not that simple. And it's on in the background behind these guys here as well. Tricky to pick up who's who, but it's teammates. Courtney leads Scott Pye at the moment. And Mobil 1 Boost Mobile Racing, Walkinshaw and Andretti United have done a great job presenting their cars with the LED lights beneath them. Great bit of showmanship on their cars. Now, last time out, if you follow the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship closely, there was aggravation between the teammates on Sunday at Queensland Raceway. They've put it all behind them, but they're engaged in another intense battle out there at the moment.
Aggravation's a nice way of putting it. Scott Pye fired down the inside at turn 4 at Queensland Raceway, and they made contact, and in the end, James Courtney made contact with Mark Winterbottom, so it put both of those guys out of the race. This is Lowndes attacking the back of Rick Kelly. Does he get down the inside? This is down into turn 4. He does. Nice move by Craig Lowndes. Remembering that he's announced his full-time retirement at the end of this year. It would have been a very emotive thing for him this evening as he was introduced. In fact, your daughter was the one that gave him a little cuddle and said, "Go Uncle Craig," because for Lowndes, this is a place that he's had great memories. He won here in 1996 on debut on the short circuit in the night time. So Lowndes, like most of the drivers, have a real affinity with this place. They like it. And there's the bump down the inside, Heimgarten into Tander. Simona Di Silvestro takes advantage and goes by. So Garth won't be very happy with that. And there'll be probably some wheel-to-wheel damage on that car as a consequence.
There appeared to be something hanging from the back of Garth's car there, and he had a difficult qualifying. I didn't get a chance to fully debrief with him. I fired him a text and he said it's a long story, so I suspect that it's been a difficult day for him. So McLaughlin's got 1.1 seconds at the moment over Van Gisbergen. Whincup's in 3rd. He's 3 seconds adrift. We're riding with David Reynolds here. He's currently sitting in 10th. Rick Kelly's drifted a little. He's 9 seconds from the lead. He qualified position number 4, row number 2. Let's listen to David at work.
Go there, mate. Keep the pressure on him. 8 to please. Okay, mate.
Gee, it's hard to determine the edge of the road there, isn't it? That was a great shot and a really good little insight into the balance of Rick Kelly's Nissan Altima. From on board, David Reynolds, Penrite Commodore. You see the car flowing and sliding through turn 1. This is Mostert trying to do this little manoeuvre that he's had 4 or 5 goes at. And we're hearing that from our numbers, the degradation's probably a little bit worse than we were forecasting, because they started the race, the fastest lap of the race so far was a 30.27 from McLaughlin. And the last lap was a 31.8. This is only the 8th lap.
Yeah.
So
They're plummeting,
aren't they?
And the lap record set last year by Chaz Mostert, which I detailed in the Hub presentation, 30.1 for him last year. But I'm watching those times very carefully as well. And I'm surprised. There was a fair bit of intensity being shown out there in those first few laps. And just getting them through to the end of each of the sequences in the stints is going to be a real challenge.
I just had a quick chat to the guys at Gary Rogers Motorsport in regards to Garth Tander. They have said that he has got some damage to the rear of that car, and also they believe his exhaust has copped a hit, so he is losing a bit of power. They've got all the tools in the ready to try and fix that for his first pit stop.
Thanks, Rihanna. Rick Murphy, Rihanna Cran, Mark Larkham in the lane covering all the action this evening. And that little bit of contact, I'd be surprised if there wasn't some steering drama for both Andre Heimgartner and Garth Tander after they contacted there at turn 6. This is young Richie Stanaway. He's had a pretty tough initiation to his full-time career in supercars. Very well-credentialed young Kiwi. He's driven at the highest level in international motorsport. Oh, and that was a last-minute dive there by Percat, trying to fire down the inside of Simona into turn 5. Sometimes you can get away with that one, but Simona closed the door pretty savagely, lucky not to make contact between Percat and Simona Di Silvestro.
So Mostert just said to Adam that the deck's beginning to really kick in. Adam's come back and he's talking to him as I speak, saying you're doing a really good job, so just keep strolling it along nice and straight. So now it'll move from squeezing as much lap speed as possible to try to just stroll the car, minimise the load here and there, try not to punish it too much.
So I'm also hearing that Ludo just told Scott McLaughlin to push. So I wonder whether that really means he's gone to a 4-stop strategy based on the degradation rather than 3 stops.
Well, there's lots of different ways of playing this. You might just go crazy hard in the first stint, break a margin, break some spirit, and then play it slightly differently on the subsequent tyre sets, Larko.
Yeah, I actually had a chat with Ludo just before the race about that very point, Scafie, and like most of the teams, 4 stops wasn't in their plan, but they were going to be prepared for it. And like Neil, watching these times closely, start in the low 30s. The last few laps, it's almost 2 tenths a lap, and we're now seeing drivers drop into the 32-second bracket. So where are we? Lap 11. We said they were going to fall off a clip about 15, or off the clip, I should say. This is what the game is going to be about.
Scott Pye's also been warned about exceeding track limits at turn 5 as well. And we've just passed that on to him on the radio in the recent past. Thanks for the update, Larko.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good way of explaining it, Larko. So plan for 3 stops, prepare for 4. So it's not really a fuel race, but at the same time, you've got to organise yourself to do those, what we call stints or sectors of the race, where you minimise the degradation and then top the fuel up in accordance with that. So there's going to be times in this race where you've really got to think on your feet, and some of the teams, like a Brad Jones, for instance, I reckon one of their cars should do that, Larko.
Yeah, well, we crunched the numbers. I'd love to take credit for that, but it was a result of discussion with our engineer, Oscar, and me in the car driving here this morning. And if you do the numbers, they actually work out, funnily enough, about the same, 3 or 4. So then it's going to come into what's your track position, what your tyre degradation looks like to actually make that decision. So let's hope someone does it, because I think it'll play out really nicely, particularly if there's a late safety car.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's probably the right way to call it. But again, you've got to think on your feet with this sort of race. And remember, 300 points, I mean, per kilometre, it's the most important race that we've had so far this year.
And with 66 laps remaining, there's an awful lot of ifs being used in all those theories. So one of the things that they'll do is probably invoke a very old adage, and that is hope for the best, but plan for the worst. So just make sure that you've got a couple of things up your sleeve to be able to deal with what might come. This is pretty interesting, isn't it? We're on board Tim Slade's Freightliner Holden, and looking at the way in which this car's taking its punishment over the top of the curbs and the way in which the tyre wall stresses. So we're looking at the anti-roll bar blade, the anti-roll bar mechanism on the bottom right-hand corner of screen. The spring working pretty hard there, and the tyre always amazes me. I don't understand tyre technology. I don't understand how you can create something that can take that sort of speed and stress and punishment and heat. Remembering that they'll be operating somewhere in the 90-odd degree range. Water boils at 100. They're pretty hot. So is this a stop? Yes, it is.
Scott Pye, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So they brought him in early. That's pretty early in the game. Lap 12 for McLaughlin, race leader. And Mobile One Boost Mobile, car number 2, Scotty Pye comes in. Larko.
Okay, so Scotty Pye coming in here. Boy, look, I can't even see. I can only see his headlights looking at his tyres. Now, very important, hard to stop on the mark. Yeah, so he was a little bit slower coming in to stop than what we normally see, because it's harder to see your mark. Now, 4 tyres on, fuel, not a lot of fuel, because remember, this is not a fuel race. This is a tyre race, not a bad stop.
Heimgartner's in as well. Car number 7, Fitness Plus entry. 1.6 seconds a gap now, McLaughlin over Van Gisbergen. And Whincup still 3.7 behind.
See that nice little light the guys have put up there at the 40k sign too? We'll get a shot of that at some stage.
Now this thing's creeping in, Mark, so they're putting a go jack under the back of it as a result of that contact. So that's not good.
Just give you an update there, guys. I heard your question, Scafie, about that potential move to a 4-stop. I just asked Ryan Story at Penske about that, and actually he pointed out to me and showed me the tyre pressures on Scott McLaughlin's car and said no, we want him to push to actually raise the tyre pressure slightly. They're quite low, and it's about temperature in that tyre. He wants them to work them a little bit harder, believe it or not, and it's working for him at the moment. The tyre pressure's just raised slightly once he started to push, and his time came down a little bit there too. They're not so concerned about tyre dig after what they learnt yesterday.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. So 32.38 was his last lap. He's lost 2 seconds across those 13 laps. That's funny, isn't it? I mean, in terms of tyre stability, I thought that it was really affecting Fabian Coulthard early. He looked like the one who was the worst in terms of the front 4 or 5 cars.
Lowndes is being pressured by, pressuring James Courtney, I beg your pardon. And David Reynolds has come in. Quick temp check. Ooh, they've both run wide there at turn 3. Lowndes had it all rooster tail out there with the left rear. Dropped off the edge of the road, throwing rocks. 13.3 degrees, our weather station is saying, in the television compound with a 1.4 kilometre an hour southeasterly breeze. So in other words, nothing in the way of breeze, but that temperature is really dropping. It was beautiful in the sunshine early today. As soon as that cloud cover came over, though, it was quite chilly. So that was a moment for Craig Lowndes. Can't afford too much of that. You're also risking a potential puncture or some tyre damage in that process.
And I think we'll find that they'll probably raise the tyre pressure a little bit for Fabian Coulthard too. Again, I think they've been set a little bit too low, underestimated the track temperature on that car, and he's been struggling with that all the way through the first part of the stint.
That's great. Big pressure here between Courtney and Lowndes at the moment. This battle's for 6th and 7th. So Lowndes has been marching on. The car doesn't look too bad at the moment. He wasn't totally happy with the balance from quali session to session, but when I spoke to him pre-race, he was reasonably happy with it. In the end, here he is having another crack. It'd be a brave move to dive down the inside of turn 1. It's typical Lowndes torture time. So he's up, under, over, round, and now he's going to have another crack here at 2. This time he's got space. To see the difference in the brakes between James's car and Craig's car. So CL had his big size 10 well jammed on the middle pedal end, so we'll have to try and have a look at that if we can in replay, but have a look at the amount of temperature that Craig was making at the front versus James.
That was a great pass. That was a very authoritative, well-executed pass. Now, Tim Slade's backwards, and you probably don't do that by yourself, so there'll be another part of that story. So, Will Davison in, you can see all the smoke coming off those very warm brakes. This isn't actually a very hard place on brakes, but in the evening you could see those rotors glow, and you can certainly see that on the front of Craig Lowndes' car there as we watch Mark Winterbottom go back out. That was Richie Stanaway also, as we see car 230, the Milwaukee Falcon of Will Davison re-entering the racetrack. So McLaughlin continues to lead. He's got a 2.12 second lead over Van Gisbergen. Whincup's degradation's actually improved. He's been able to take some ground off Van Gisbergen. Fabian Coulthard's fallen a long way back. So at the moment, in terms of pace, the top three cars are showing the best tyre degradation and best consistency.
Here's what I was talking about before. No, in fact, this is the explanation of what was going on here with Slade and Waters. So Cam's nailed the back of it. You got it exactly right, that there would have been some help in that. So I think, unfortunately for Cam, there's going to be a problem with that one. Here it is from on board with Tim. Tagged and turned at turn 2.
Have a look. Great shots there from our cameraman in pit lane. This is the Lowndes one, Neil.
So watch the brake rotors. You can see a little bit of colour in James, but how's the glowing front rotor on Craig's car by comparison? That's how much extra brake energy is required to put an effective pass together. Often there's different ducting and brake blockers involved as well, but that was a fair bit of PSI on the brake pedal.
Yeah, that was a dead set leg press.
Time penalty. Here we go. Car 6 for a driving infringement.
So Cam Waters not only having to negotiate traffic here with Garth Tander, but he's just been told, or his team have on the radio, that he's got a 15-second penalty as a result of what happened down there with Tim Slade at turn 2, which he probably knew in his own heart as well.
A lot of damage. We just picked up that shot you spoke of before of the rear of Garth Tander's Commodore. So we understood the wheel-to-wheel drama. We also understood, here we go, does Will get down the inside? Yes, he does, on the warm tyre. So that's the benefit of the undercut for Will Davison. Lowndes and Courtney now in. But interesting, I didn't really get to the bottom of why there was so much damage on the back of Garth Tander's car, Murph.
Yeah, Tickford have been very kind and let Craig Lowndes come through their bay into the marks. Very, very nicely on the marks. He's spot on, Craig Lowndes. Okay, Neil's still going in. Tyres on cleanly. And he's away. It was a good stop by the Autobahn team.
Yeah, that was nice and polite, wasn't it? You don't often see that.
No.
We've had a few of those this year where people have purposely put stuff out and made people drive around them, and all the normal gamesmanship that's been going on for many years. But that was nice from Tickford to allow Craig Lowndes to drive through their bay prior to the stop. So McLaughlin continues to lead. That's 2.3 seconds to Van Gisbergen. That gap has closed up further. It's only 1.2 seconds back to Whincup. This is the stop from Rick Kelly. He's actually going to have a little drama here with... Does Michael get out of it? They've had a little bit of contact there with the teammates. I don't really know why you do that. You probably... Michael probably could have snuck out a throttle there and avoided that one. So it's interesting that the consistency in terms of the Van Gisbergen and Whincup pace, in terms of consistency, they're right there with McLaughlin, folks. So the night is very young yet, in a very long race.
Chaz Mostert, James Golding are in, 55 and 34. You can see them on screen.
I think he got cost some time too, Neil. Behind Fabian there, he was pretty much faster, wasn't he, for all that run?
5 seconds. Almost there, James. You're going to be clear when we drop. Almost there, mate. Go, go, go. All clear. Thank you, mate. Good job, boys.
Was a good job. The undercut has worked quite nicely for David Reynolds here as well. So let's just stop and pause to think about what matters. Caruso's just done the fastest lap of the race in car number 23 on fresh tyres. Now remember that they're all delivering different levels of fuel and playing the game in different ways. Chaz has come out here right tucked in behind Rick Kelly's split. The new fastest lap achiever, Michael Caruso and Rick Kelly. The first car in the queue that's done the stop is Pye, but having moved up with the benefit of the undercut is Reynolds. And look at this, Caruso having a big rush and has made it work, or has he? It's ongoing. Unresolved, that battle at 4. Now Chaz has to settle in at 5. Now leaders are in. So Whincup's assumed the lead, McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen, so they're stalking him.
I bet you that they don't allow McLaughlin to drive through the Red Bull pit.
You're absolutely right, Scapey. They haven't done that, and maybe that's a strategic move again as Van Gisbergen comes through Craig Lowndes' pit. He's missed his marks too, has Scott McLaughlin. The fuel hose would have been pushed out ever so slightly. The right front is having big trouble. It is on. They've hammered it on.
Have a look at the
I'm
fuel
thinking they
hose.
drop it exactly the same time, Scapey.
Did you see the fuel hose, Murph? He was really battling to get that in.
Yeah, he was a long way in towards the pit lane, was Scott McLaughlin. That's because he had to go around the Red Bull guys.
Well, again, that's the gamesmanship. We often speak about it. Big braking manoeuvre by Pye. That's the undercut. So Pye is going to effectively go to the lead. That was a massive braking manoeuvre. Warm tyres, warm brakes, straight around the outside. And is able to get through. That was close, but nice presence of mind by both parties.
Now Whincup just heard is coming in as well, so he has decided, David Couch has decided that they don't want to be undercut, so they don't stay out. They're reacting, and there he is.
And there's that light that I just spoke about. They did a nice job there at the 40k sign. They've obviously shown that light and then been able to demonstrate where the white line is.
Fabian's in as well in the background.
Nice, thank you very much.
Riding with Whincup.
Doesn't the pit lane look fantastic?
Looking for the
It's all
Autobahn
lit.
boom for us, please. We're doing 4 tyres and fuel. We're doing 4 tyres and fuel. Roll across now for us, please, mate. That's the way.
So nice, clean entry for Whincup. There's Greg Murphy just in front there, so you can see the proximity between the two pits. That's why Scott McLaughlin had to drive around and in.
Car approaching us now, mate.
That's a fair cave-in in the right rear corner of Jamie's
I was
car.
concerned there that Jamie Whincup was going to get held up by Fabian Coulthard coming in. You see again how much the Penske car is pushed over. He's on must be on a 30-degree angle facing the wrong way, the number 12 in there. But Jamie Whincup, they held that car, put the fuel in until Fabian went past before releasing him.
Gee, the undercut's been effective so far because Lowndes has been able to jump Whincup, so's Reynolds.
And it will be here always because of the huge difference between a new tyre and a worn tyre. But if you get too greedy too early, you pay the penalty a little bit later in the sequence. That's going to be the real theme of the race, isn't it? Just when you choose to do that and how you choose to do it, because you're going to get massive gains on fresh rubber, and that's what we're seeing evidence of here at the moment. New leader of the race is Lee Holdsworth in car number 18 for Preston Hire.
And Andre Harmgarden is just getting pushed out of the garage. It was a bent steering arm for him. Even Todd Kelly was working on that car to get him out, so they were out and all fixed for him.
Thanks, Rana. Now, you wouldn't think that if Heimgartner had steering damage, then they hit wheel to wheel, that you'd think that Garth Tander will have something similar. There's Whincup. So Whincup, of the people that have stopped now, McLaughlin. I'm looking, I think Pye, I've missed that. Pye's dropped back behind McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen now. So he must have made a little mistake.
Yeah, perhaps when the pit stop was happening, because I didn't spot it either, and you're right, that's what the computer's telling us as well. So we're looking here at Reynolds. Reynolds is being hounded by Craig Lowndes. They're 7th and 8th at the moment. 3 cars have not yet stopped. Lee Holdsworth, Nick Percat and Tim Slade. Remembering that Slade was turned around by Cam Waters at turn 2, which would probably force a strategy change for them as we jump on with Craig at turn 2.
think we've got it. So, oh, this is the angle. Have a look at he's battling to get that fuel hose in.
Well, they're at full extension of the fuel hose. If that was a few more mil, it wouldn't couple. So that's both fuel delivery and the vent system all in one dry brake coupling, and Van Gisbergen exits. They had a much straighter car, the Red Bull car. And this was Pye's big run round the outside that effectively put him in the lead of the race on corrected terms. Now, does this explain what you were talking about before? And I think the answer is going to be yes. So remember, a fresh tyre is going to serve Scott McLaughlin very well. So he was easily able to get through on the inside at turn 7. And we've subsequently learnt that Van Gisbergen's got by as well. Continuing with the replay, just the difference in grip is astonishing, and the feeling in the car overwhelmingly different between the two tyres, fresh and worn. So Scott didn't bother to put up any great defence in that process. There's no point. This is Reynolds and Lowndes with Whincup in the background. Now, I've just heard the car on 25 has got a bad sportsmanship flag, so James Courtney has been warned about exceeding the track limit now at turn 5, so he's officially got no more lives left. If he does it again, he'll tour the pit lane.
So Whincup putting pressure on Reynolds, and you'd think that he'll have pace based on the difference in the lap life of the tyres. It's roughly 6 laps difference between the two. So Reynolds just running a little bit wide, couldn't quite get it turned. The spot, there might be a little move if he can get through the middle of Corporate Hill here a little better. There might be a little move down the inside. He doesn't look to do that. Does he feint back the other way? Right up in behind. Don't these pictures look awesome? Just gets the nose of the car outside the silhouette of the Penrite Commodore, and what he'll try to do now is to just make the exit nice and straight, see if he can slipstream his way up onto the back of David Reynolds for turn 1, and he pretty much executes that perfectly.
So Holdsworth and Percat have come in. That only leaves Tim Slade out there. And Slade's gone down a lap because McLaughlin has rounded him up. They've left him out there. He's run wide, David Reynolds. That's going to leave him vulnerable to Whincup. Oh, he managed to gather it back. But he's battling right in the middle of the corner. He's vulnerable again, and this time Whincup gets up on the outside. Problem is he puts him on the wrong side of the road for 3. They'll try and crisscross and have a look at him down here at turn 4. It's a vigorous battle, and Whincup gets down there. So the order now is McLaughlin back in the lead. He stopped once. Tim Slade's still second, but he hasn't yet stopped. That move for Jamie has just moved him up into 6th.
Mr. Hahn, David's girlfriend, watching on. Here we go, a little move down there. Always, you hold your breath at turn 1. It's just so fast. And a little wave there, nice respect shown from Scott McLaughlin. And he leads from Shane Van Gisbergen. Scott Pye behind with Lowndes and Whincup. Saw Whincup made that move just a second ago on Reynolds.
Slade now in. You can see him on the right-hand side of screen. That now sorts the field. Tim slightly out of sequence because of the incident at turn 2. 2.8 seconds is the gap, Scott McLaughlin over Shane Van Gisbergen. Scott Pye benefiting from the earlier stop. He's sitting now 4th. Craig Lowndes has just got by him. So Lowndes is showing good pace here.
He's looking really strong.
Very
His
good.
tyre consistency is good too, isn't it? Remember that Lowndes has had 5 wins at this location, so he knows what to do around Sydney Motorsport Park. He's always been good at looking after the tyre. as a concept that we've never been able to wrap our brains around, but he's got an amazing record at places that are hard on tyres.
Lee Holdsworth.
Oh, that was a big off the road. I think that was either Garth Tander or James Dolly. It was Tander who put the left-hand wheels off the edge of the road at turn 3. Stanaway now trying to do the crisscross and get back down the inside. Oh, sorry, it's Tim Blanchard. I think it was Stanaway. It's hard to pick sometimes in the dark spots in between 4 and 5 and around into 6.
John McGregor just said to Craig, you're doing really well. But then the caveat, the little asterisk on the end of the message, don't burn up the rears. It's like the fine print in your policy.
I don't think you actually have to tell Craig that, because he's probably done enough miles to understand it. This is the moment I was just saying a second ago. Off the edge of the road, you can just see the delineation between bitumen and grass there. Hard to pick the edge of the surface, and Garth just dribbled the left-hand wheels off the edge of the road, and Lee was able to get down the inside going into turn 4. And there's Stanaway, who's battling with Di Pasquale. A couple of rookies this year. They're not really rookies, they're both very well credentialed young drivers, but rookies to supercars this year.
So he's just off the back of a recent good strong run at Queensland Raceway, Richard Stanaway. He's done some night racing very successfully at Glenmore, and he was part of the Aston Martin sports car program. He's got Di Pasquale tucked right in behind him there at the moment. Just a little slice of the crowd that are enjoying the racing here this evening. Now up on the outside and having a bit of a poke and possibly trying to sneak up there is David Reynolds. So he's been working away there with Chaz Mostert. They've been in exchange, and Mostert's actually just climbed over him. So he's
You've got two cars, both cars in front. Good job.
he's another guy, Chaz Mostert, a little bit like Craig Lowndes. There's something in his style that really works for him at this racetrack.
That's absolutely right. He's got great car control. He doesn't mind the car moving around. And given the low grip surface, and it's so flowing and fast, that you've got to have, in terms of your technique, real car control to get a result of this layout, which Mostert's been able to do that over a long period of time. Fabian really pressuring the back of Rick Kelly. And he does, he fires on the inside between 4 and 5. That's a bold move. Rick gives him enough space on the turn in. In fact, Michael Caruso was able to then capitalise. So he fired back on the left-hand side once Rick was too wide for turn 5. Was able to get down the inside into turn 6. So nice presence of mind by Michael. Good driving by Fabian to be aggressive on that change of direction. So there's some great exchanges through the field. This is the exit of turn 8, Lucko.
There. And as the night goes on, I think one of the things you have to be on top of is tyre pressures. We heard Scott McLaughlin there talking about, or his engineer saying their tyre pressures weren't up. And in case you didn't know, on our supercars, we have a little sensor that's in underneath the valve here that speaks to the car so we can see the temperatures. Now, I went and had a look after I felt Jamie Whincup's tyre. Didn't feel really hot to me. I can tell you the temperatures are about 20 to 30 degrees lower than we'd expect in a daytime condition. The other little quick thing I want to show you is in the pit stops, you see them take these tear-offs here. Here's one here I grabbed earlier. Tacky on one side. Now, if you've got 3 pit stops, you'll have 4 of these ones for each pit stop. But if I try and hold it up to the light there, I don't know if you can see, Dave, you can get a sense of just how dirty and chipped that is. So a great thing for driver vision in these testing conditions to be able to pull that off and grab another 20 laps of clear vision, eh?
Yeah, one of the reasons why they look like that, Larko, is all the rubble that's being thrown up at the cars off the top of turn 3. It happens also on the exit of the final corner here. So there's an awful lot of wheel dropping here and there, and then it just peppers the front of the car. I mean, they start out the weekend looking like they've just come fresh from the showroom, absolutely beautiful. And then as the day progresses, you look at them at the end of the race and it's like they've been sandblasted. This is a great exchange. We're looking at the back of Scott Pye's car here. This is Whincup. He's right with him. So at the moment, McLaughlin's got 3.3 seconds over Van Gisbergen. Then Lowndes 4.4 seconds behind. Craig's done an awesome job out there so far tonight when you stop and consider where he qualified. And then Pye, who we're looking at here with Whincup, 50 laps remain. It's about trying to battle tyres here at the moment, understand how to get the most out of them, how to try and keep stoking that lap time, but at the same time, preserve them, look after them, keep the consistency in the game. So Lowndes up from qualifying in position number 9, sitting there in 3rd at the moment.
We're on board with Whincup, who's pressuring the back of Scott Pye. This is the little exchange that we've seen so much activity so far this evening on the run down the little roller coaster out of 3 into 4, and he makes that move stick. Looking back now at Scott Pye, who made the early stop, and that's hurt those tyres, which allows Whincup to maintain the mid-corner speed and to make that move stick reasonably easily. We're on board now the other way, looking over the shoulder of Scott Pye. You see the dash illuminated there, 3rd gear. Our numbers reflect what we call the race mode. He had a monstrous amount of understeer there. He missed the apex by miles.
Yeah, that was amazing how much lock he rolled on and how far wide of the line. And that really is an illustration of just how tippy-toe you are when you're right on that grip threshold.
And what happens is you don't just lose it with the rear tyre on the exit of the corner, you lose it with the front tyre on the way to the corner. So you have entry understeer and exit oversteer. Have a look at the dash. So 4th gear, 5th gear. Road speed on the top left. You see 240, 250. I think it must scare him, so he just says, let's go back to whatever that number is there now. So he's flicked the mode. The anti-roll bar settings are on the bottom, so 7 and 10. You can see left and right there for red and blue. That'll be front and rear. And then on the way out of the corner, you see the lap time differential. So this is a fair battle also with the teammates. We saw them bump in pit lane. It looks like Rick Kelly's actually being held up by Caruso now.
There's something weird going on with Scott Pye's transponder as well, because we were riding on board with him there a minute ago, and he was shuffling up and down the timing order. It clearly wasn't being passed by cars. So these two teammates, remember that when they came out of the pit lane, Michael Caruso was actually kissing the back of Rick Kelly's car in the fast lane. So they've shuffled around those positions. Reynolds with the pressure on him at the moment from Coulthard. So Fabian just sizing him up. David's protective on the inside here. Fabian runs the high line. Problem out there, you can actually see the significant amount of marbles that are on the road. So there's a lot of debris on the outside. That's going to continue to build up. A tyre build up off the racing line here was something that some of the drivers talked about last night, because it's tricky for them to pick up with these different light levels by comparison to a normal race here. These are some of the things we talked about pre-race, the little micro management issues where you've got to try and be very careful in how you go about plying your trade. It's a different deal in these conditions.
So he tried to move it right out, and when he goes to turn it back, have a look for all the marbles. What you said before, as soon as you get wide, you get into the slippery stuff. He didn't gain anything. In fact, he lost ground as a consequence of turning in from so wide. Murph?
Yeah, it was very costly, I think, for Fabian Coulthard in that first stint with those tyre pressures. Mark Fenning just said to me, yeah, we got that a bit wrong. He's much happier at the moment. The tyre pressure is a lot higher than what it was in that first stint, and he has been the fastest car on the track until he's caught up to David Reynolds here, who's probably slowing him down. But on the last couple of laps, I think he was like 3/4 of a second faster than the race leader, his teammate Scott McLaughlin. I've looked at some of the tyres that came off those cars too. We know that brand new, the Dunlop Super Soft tyre is about 3.1 mil on it. Kevin Fitzsimmons from Dunlop Motorsport looked at it before and said, I reckon that's about a mil, 1.2 mil left tread left on those tyres that came off the Penske's.
Yeah, really hooks into them here. This is a play. Very often tyre wear itself isn't the issue. It's more about the thermal hurt in the tyre. But here you actually do peel away all the tread depth. Because of the amount of time that you turn, I spoke about it earlier in the day, it's just on 85% of the lap, you're wriggling the car around. replay down here on the run out of 1 into 2. This is Percat down the inside of Simona, and Simona hasn't spotted him there, but she would have felt the thump in the left rear corner of the Team Harvey Norman car.
That's the second time they've had a little exchange, because they had a little bump between turn 4 and turn 5. How's Garth Tander this evening in the walls?
Yeah, he doesn't have a happy car, it seems, at the moment. He's currently sitting down there in 19th. That's a battle for position with Simona, 20th.
Well,
This group of cars
could be ugly.
looks like it's trouble, doesn't it? Todd Hazelwood, Richie Stanaway, Tim Slade up the inside, Cam Waters as well. So the blue and the black car are team cast. So Rick Kelly back in now for his second stop. It's the first car to come in to take the second stop. We're on lap number 31.
Mostert
And Stanaway has come in as well from that group of cars that we saw. Chaz right on the back now of Scotty Pye. These guys 5th and 6th.
Chaz tries a similar thing to what Fabian did a couple of laps ago. Not quite as extreme. Didn't turn it in from his wide. And this is really hurting Fabian now with Dave Reynolds. Clearly got better car pace. Mostert had better car pace than Fabian with those high pressure problems in the first phase of the race. He's been able to get by, and he's really also being contained by Scott Pye. They're 5th and 6th. On board now with Fabian. Check this out. 270 kilometres an hour, millimetres behind the car in front. Can't really see the corner properly. Brake the car, slide it to the corner, and then try to correct the slide. And then again, try. Oh, Dave's off. So he outbraked himself. He was pressured into that mistake. And at the end of that one, that was an easy move by Fabian. Now this won't be so easy. Scott Pye and Chaz Mostert got a bit of history. They used to race in the development series, the Dunlop development series, where they had some pretty wild exchanges as young blokes. They're still young blokes, but they're now right at the top of their game. And Mostert, who's got a great record at this venue, loves the layout, loves the low grip surface, and from a car pace perspective, looks like he's got Scott Pye's measure.
Cam Waters has just come in as well, so he'll have to serve that additional 15 seconds in that process as we watch this fabulous battle between Mostert and Pye exit turn 8. So they're going to, I can hear them at Tickford at the moment talking to Cam, telling him that he's got to sit there for the extra 15. As Chaz sizes up Scott up at the eastern end of the racetrack. He's battling with a bit of front end grip there as well, Scott Pye, just through the second part of that double left-hander. Look at the buffeting on the wiper on the screen. That gives you an indication of the amount of aero turbulence behind another car. They're just hitting 270 k's down here, 6th back to 5th gear. Catch a little bit of the curb and understeer moment for Mostert, and he only just hangs on to that one. So he threw it in there hard, and for a while it looked okay, but it was just a fraction quick. Aero understeer would have been part of what was actually going on there as well, and he was fortunate to actually bowl out the other side. He stepped right out of the throttle. Here it is. So this is Reynolds and Coulthard watching David run wide here. Now, I looked back up on the computer timing to see whether or not he'd lost any further spots, and he hadn't in that process.
So this is the pressure that Fabian was putting on. Dave just can't quite get it stopped. Just missed his braking marker on the way into there. Now, this is the one that we were all excited about. Check how wide he was there. There was nothing in it. He was about to put the wheel in the dirt. Now, if you make the dirt on the right-hand side, we're on board with it. Have a listen. Yeah, but he had to get back out of it.
And he soon woke up to that when he got a dose of 600 plus horsepower under his right foot, and it just pushed the nose wide. So there's a bit of junk on the racetrack there as well.
In a guard, isn't it, by the look?
No, I couldn't actually see what it was, but it's, I believe it came out of Jamie Whincup's car. So we're looking at Van Gisbergen. He's second at the moment, but he's coming under pressure from a very rapid Craig Lowndes here this evening. I tell you, there'd be a cheer in this joint tonight, Mark, if Craig Lowndes can continue this sort of form, up from having qualified in 9th position, currently racing in 3rd, and the bloke that claimed the goal here all those years ago in 1996. High in.
Second time, it's not working. What's on the channel? Journey's going in there, mate. It's all clear in the lane. When it drops, they're ready to go. Get out here.
Stop number 2 for Scott
Doing
Pye.
a really good job, isn't he, Neil? This is a good drive, really good drive. I was just going through the degradation there a second ago. He's actually right in contention here this evening.
Totally.
Absolutely.
And he talked earlier about just the way the car balance varied through qualifying, and he said we were chasing things. As we have a look here, an exchange between James Golding and Cam Waters. They're all using the edges of the racetrack, hence the reason why we had Larko down there before showing you the tear-offs that are all beaten up. People are just finding the edge. Defining the edge of the road is quite difficult in the dark. Now Lowndes decides, John McGregor decides better not to get involved in that battle chasing Gizzy, because if they get a set of tyres on now, they'll get an undercut. So rather than waste any time, they'll use the opportunity now. So there'll be a little radio exchange there in the background as to whether the timing's right. And now the Autobahn entry in. Lowndes is looking very strong tonight.
I can see you there. As you can see, not much going on. We're pulling nice and early and get big road the box through. We're going to be here for about 15 seconds. So we're going to do a screen, give you a green consent on your way.
So Lowndes straight in, on the mark, absolutely perfect again, nice and straight, everything smoothly so far. Obviously there's no time for changes with the stops being so short, having those 3 compulsory stops and the amount of fuel that's going to go in the car. Albeit this is a long stop, guys. You can see how much fuel they just put in, longer than I anticipated, and he's away cleanly.
Good work. There's a little bit of gamesmanship going on with fuel delivery. I mean, I'm looking down the columns here. Even though this is not a race where it's got the mandated amount of fuel drop, clearly you can keep an eye on those that you're racing. You can just play with those levels ever so slightly. 3.75 litres of Shell Racing fuel for every second stationary. And so there's an opportunity just to vary that ever so slightly, get the drivers to alter the driving styles. Frosty's in, Mark Winterbottom.
Thank you going in here, guys. Thank you going in. That's 10 seconds down, boys.
So they're changing the blanking
That's 3 seconds down.
more. Is that the brake or radiator there?
Brake. That's more. So they're looking for more front downforce.
You and I went round the front before we did our little piece pre-race, and we had a good look in the front of both the Shell V-Power cars. There's different braking styles between Coulthard and McLaughlin. The difference in the amount of brake blocker between the two of them, which is because of the desire of the drivers to get the brakes to work and behave the way they want them to, was massive. The percentage difference between the volume of air going in 17 and 12, respectively, was massively different.
And it's quite different too between Whincup and Van Gisbergen. So they've all got their own styles and engineering philosophy around that. Reynolds now in, so one of the front cars again. So we're seeing there was a bit of a battle there with Reynolds and Lowndes earlier. We're seeing a similar strategy now in terms of timing.
Waiting on close fuel. 3 seconds.
Nice stop.
You're ready to go. Lane is clear. Lane is clear. Go,
Nice
go, go.
communication there. Very calm. That's the key to nice pit stops. Make it all happen slowly and without mistakes. And that was a nice execution by the team at Erebus. So where does Dave pop out? He is about to emerge just in front of James Courtney. Courtney on the warm tyre now will be trying to make a move down into turn 3. So watch this. Can Dave hold his spot? Courtney now tries to get the inside of the Commodore up to the B pillar, and he does. He has a big dive, but Dave will try to stay on the outside. He can't because he's got a cold tyre. So that's a good move by James Courtney.
Mostert is in as well.
Oh, I thought I was, sorry.
I was staggered by the battle that Coulthard had, and I'll bet if we knew the variation in the number of the cold starting pressures for Fabian's car, it won't be a lot, but he battled so hard when those pressures weren't right for him in that first stint, which just explains the sensitivity. Larko?
Okay, so first of all, let's see if Chaz stops on his mark. Yes, hang on. Now, quickly, come around here. When you fill these cars up, you don't do it like you do at the servo, just fill them up. See the little counter there? So 3.75 litres a second. These guys do it by seconds, not by just filling the car up. Now, if you see the other vent over here, you didn't see fuel come up it, so that means that car wasn't filled up. It was a timed amount of fuel.
They had trouble with the right rear as well then. Mark, when you went back across to the fuel delivery side of the car, actually lashing out right rear corner to kick that wheel off because it was actually jammed on the hub. So luckily, though, it was able to be released. The car was able to get on with the job. So check this out. Here's what I'm talking about. Just get it to move. It was seated on the hub. Another hit again. And then the second attempt actually got it off.
You almost lost your finger then, Larko, when you were doing that whole explanation of fuel delivery.
Great onboard shot here, looking at car number 35, Big Mate Racing. This is Todd Hazelwood, who hurt his shoulder in Townsville. And he still has some residual effect of that this weekend. He's nursing it somewhat. He's currently sitting in 25th position.
Hasn't he done a nice job inside the cockpit of that car? That's the nicest one of the lot, isn't it? Beautifully lit. Understands what's going on there. Almost looks like daylight inside Todd Hazelwood's Falcon.
Now, LeBrock's in from a good, strong position here as well in the pit lane in car number 19 at the moment. That Techno Autosports car is performing very well this weekend, and that young guy's doing a ripping job.
This is not a place that you'd like a shoulder injury either. This is a very, very physical racetrack. Although the steering loads aren't massively high because the grip level's low, you make a lot of corrections. So it's a place that you hear the drivers say, we had to get up on the wheel. You get up on the wheel because you make a lot of corrections as a consequence of how much sliding goes on. And that was a green tyre we're hearing for LeBrock in this stint. So that's a good job if he was able to qualify as well as he did to save a set of greens.
Hey, just looking at the lap times there, boys. 2.3 seconds, I think, or 2.4 seconds faster on the last lap. Craig Lowndes to the leader of the race. He's going to get a massive undercut here very shortly.
Yeah, I've got no doubt about that. And the fact that John reacted and brought him in as soon as he cruised up onto the back of Van Gisbergen, that was a good move. Now, Mostert's just done the new fastest lap of the race. It's getting quicker out there as it gets cooler. And the track rubber's in. 30.1, the new fastest lap of the race. Mark and I are both scrambling for our phones to get a temperature update at the moment. Who's going to win that one? MS's phone's refreshed.
10.5.
There you go. You win. 10 degrees out there at the moment. Jackets on. Still a little bit of debris on the outside there of turn 3. So it's breezy. And I don't think a single person has moved from the stands. So they're just rugging up and enjoying every second of it out there at the moment.
Almost 34,000 people witnessing an historic nighttime event in Sydney Motorsport Park. The last time that we hosted a nighttime event here was 1996, and the man that won was Craig Lowndes. And based on his performance tonight, don't discount him. That's off the road for Reynolds. He's had a couple of wild moments. That was right out off the edge at the fastest corner.
LeBrock has just done the fastest third sector, by the way. You know, one of the interesting things, and it's hard to read any time at this racetrack, is McLaughlin comes in
and Van Gisbergen
and Gizzy. So is the fact that the grip levels change so much, and you've got to constantly read the variation, and it's not just a little bit, it's a lot, lap to lap. Critical stops now. Our leaders are in. Whincup's the leader once more.
Move for us, please. Square in the box and on the marks. Nice and steady, please. Watch this Penske car with your hoses, Tybo. Nice work. Roll across now, please, mate. Square in the box and on the marks. Nice work there. Nice heel to the heel.
So prepare yourself for Lowndes to lead this race.
Still clear. Clear to go, clear to go.
Here he goes.
and that was him just flashing through. So what an interesting scenario that's beginning to unfold here with the way in which people are playing the strategy game. We've got Craig Lowndes looking very strong out here. Whincup is the leader of the race. Great efficient work by both Red Bull and Shell V-Power Racing out there. Jack Le Brocq, by the way, in fact, he's just done it. I was about to say, I reckon he's going to do the fastest lap of the race. He has marked. So Le Brocq's just done a 30 flat, 1 minute 30.0205 in car number 19. Very good speed. One of the 5 rookies in the field for this evening. Whincup's got 22 seconds at the moment over Coulthard. The first car in, and Jamie's coming in just as I speak. Just gone past our commentary box, and the first car in the queue that has done the 2 stops is Craig Lowndes.
And Lowndes stopped on lap 34. He's going to have, in terms of tyre quality, his tyres are about 4 or 5 laps older than these guys.
Craig's just on the run into turn 1 as Jamie takes his stop, and he's got about a straight length, or half a straight length over McLaughlin. So Lowndes on the run now into turn 2. Jamie departs. That was a very dirty screen on that car. They're preparing now for Coulthard, who's in. You can see them on standby. And there he is. They're arriving at that somewhat tricky angle, still on the tilt a bit.
Okay, mate, tyres are done there. Got about 5 to go here, mate. 5 to go. Going to be good to go on your drop. Getting close. Go, mate. Go, go, go.
So the margin between Craig Lowndes and McLaughlin is about 5 seconds at the moment, or thereabouts. I'm just doing very rough math on it. As Fabian departs, Lee Holdsworth's actually the leader of the race. From Craig Lowndes, Craig's 2.3 seconds off Lee. And the next in the queue with 2 stops done is Scott McLaughlin. So Scotty is 8.8 seconds from the lead. Craig's 2.3 seconds from the lead, so there's roughly 5 or 6 seconds between Lowndes and McLaughlin. So, and car 14, bad sportsmanship flag. Turn 5 track limits exceeds for Tim Slade. Now, I don't even need the computer to do this. I just know that this guy on screen has got very good tyre degradation numbers at the moment. We've seen him do it before. He did it at Queensland Raceway. It's been a hallmark of his career. He's been successful here, not just back in '96, but he's done it in the daylight as well. He's giving those front brakes a fair work out at the moment. But Craig is now the leader of the race. Lee Holdsworth has come in, and pretty soon we'll be able to do more accurate math on the margin back to McLaughlin. Remember that Scotty will get a benefit. This is tight. Garth is actually turned this time. He's been in a few scuffles, this time with Simona at turn 4. A 180 and gets back on with it again. Di Pasquale. Penrite colours on that car this weekend.
On the last lap, there was only 0.2 of a second between Lowndes and McLaughlin. 31.5 played 31.7.
So they're currently separated by Nick Percat. So Nick's second, slightly out of sequence in a different sequence to these guys that we're talking about, Lowndes and McLaughlin. So the lead, the margin is 6.8 seconds here, Lowndes to McLaughlin. So it's actually a little bit more than I said when I did the rough math before.
Di Pasquale locks a wheel, runs wide. So a little mistake there. We've seen both the Penrite cars make a little mistake on the way into turn 2. So as you point out, Lowndes is the effective leader of the race. Percat out of sequence. McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen and Whincup. So that'll be a pretty wild battle between those guys. Now Percat's coming in, so this is going to sort the first of the 2 stoppers out. Cleanse this part of the race for us.
So I'm going to watch very carefully these lap times. So Lowndes' last lap was 31.2, McLaughlin 31.1, Van Gisbergen 31.1. So even though he took his tyres earlier, Lowndes is in really good shape here at the moment. He's on for a podium. He may be on for a win. That would be a tantalising prospect. He's already had a victory so far this year. He's well inspired at the moment. We talked about after that big announcement that he was retiring from full-time racing earlier in the season, that the pressure to a degree was off. Just go out there and have some fun with your motor racing. He'll be enjoying this at the moment.
It would have been a motive, wouldn't it? You know, the whole thing of being the last driver announced this evening, the fan reaction at all the venues we've been since his announcement about his retirement has been extraordinary. The cues are Brock-esque in terms of the notoriety and fan support that he has. And this evening, knowing that this is his final full-time Sydney Motorsport Park appearance, he would have had a little tear in his eye when he climbed aboard this evening. This is the battle: Rick Kelly, Scott Pye, Chaz Mostert. Mostert's made a lot of ground on these guys. They effectively undercut Chaz in the previous segment. In terms of pace and tyre life, Mostert looks pretty strong also tonight. Just got to make sure you don't make a little mistake here on the way through. He'll be trying to get back down the inside, so you've got to be patient, sacrifice the exit of turn 2 to be able to get a nice late apex made and good car speed down the hill into turn 4. He's been probably, in terms of strength, the best car. Can he get in there? Oh, that was very close. I was going to say, this is the spot where he's been best all night. Turn 5. So he would have been better off on that occasion to have been a fraction more patient.
Mostert's got pace, but trying to climb over another car is not an easy prospect. He did a very nice job of trying to set up a slice down the inside at 5, but he couldn't quite make it work then, but he did it very nicely. He ran high and wide over the top of 4 over the little hump, and then tried to just diagonal straight to the apex at 5, but Scotty could see him coming. Look at the difference in the headlight intensity between car 2 and car 55 as well. There's a lot more light there for Scott Pye. So Chaz Mostert working really hard here to just climb over car number 2. Now Nick Percat looking quick at the moment as well. He's just done the best first sector that we've seen in the race. He's just had new double super soft tyres to move it on that car. So everybody now that's active in this race has done 2 stops. Craig Lowndes took his tyres early. He cruised up onto the back of his teammate Van Gisbergen, and they didn't waste a tenth of a second, brought him straight in and got on with it, and that's actually turned into a very handy yield for them. Now that point, Mark, the reason why Mark was ventilating then was that Scott Pye and Chaz Mostert were getting into it down there at 2, and the big slide was on with Pye. Here he goes again, tries to set him up for 5. Is he going to make it work? No. He thought about it again, Mostert.
He's got to be more patient, because if he does a nice job at turn 5, he'll get down the inside at turn 6.
New lap record. Nick Percat's done a 29.89. So Nick is down in his 16th at the moment. Here we go. Check this out. So the big slide from Pye, and then he tries to confuse him, go left, right. This time it was a different move, confusing me. So it's very cool to watch the gamesmanship going on out there at the moment. Well done.
That was a wild moment. Look at all the spectators from the grandstand back up towards the top of the straight. And the number of people that are enjoying what is a fantastic evening of racing, with our official attendance just under 34,000 people. Congratulations to everybody involved in this. New South Wales State Government, everybody, Sydney Motorsport Park, the supercars, all our volunteers and officials. This has been a sensational evening, and we're only 2/3 the way through, because we've got 32 laps remaining, and the business end of the race with Lowndes, McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen and Whincup is heating up. Don't discount Mostert off the back of that either.
Here we go. So Chaz down the inside of Rick Kelly. They've been trying to find a way by car number 15. That's been achieved. Now, can Mostert do something about Pye? We had a glimpse a moment ago of Jack LeBron. we wanted to be able to share the love with him because it's a mighty drive from Jack tonight. He's currently sitting in 10th. He bobbed up in practice as well. Did a really nice job in the Techno Autosports entry. We'll get back to that because this is intriguing at the moment. Now the other thing is, just looking at the way fuel's been delivered here, McLaughlin's got a little bit of fuel in hand, Mark, and everybody at home. So that means that the current margin that Craig's got over Scott, which is sitting at 5.9 seconds, in reality looks a little bit better for McLaughlin, but it sets up a boomer. On screen, position 3, 10.1 seconds from the lead is Shane Van Gisbergen.
He's reporting a problem with the right-hand front wheel in this car. Just looking for the vibration. There's no steering sign there. Now,
wow, look at the Shell race predictor, bottom left-hand side of screen. It's exactly what I was talking about a moment ago. Lowndes has got the tiniest little margin. Fuel corrected. McLaughlin's right in this. They delivered different levels of fuel, like I was talking about a bit earlier in the race. Craig Lowndes is potentially on for a victory here, which would take him to a second victory this year at 107 in his career, and it would be a fairy tale if he were able to convert based on the fact that he did it in 1996 for the Holden Racing Team, the last time that we raced at Sydney Motorsport Park under lights.
that's the spot. That's the one that Mostert's been incredibly strong through the course of the evening on the way through turn 5 and on the run over the little rise and down into turn 6. This is Corporate Hill.
I'm enjoying this. I love it when two drivers are absolutely at maximum attack. Nobody's blinking. It's super disciplined in both those cockpits at the moment. Scott Pye is not yielding, nor should he. He's concentrating, he's hitting all his marks. Chaz has got a slightly quicker car at the moment, but applying the benefit of that is a super complex thing. He's in the turbulent air, it's ingesting a bit of additional heat in the process. It doesn't have the ideal visuals. Adam DeBore is coaching in the background. There's nothing in it, less than a tenth of a second between the two of these guys on that last lap. Meantime, Lowndes is still sitting 5.9 seconds clear. He's holding the DEG numbers. So even though he took the tyres earlier, MS, he's actually matching what McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen are doing at the moment. That's actually something only just mildly shy of a miracle. Rick Kelly's gone wide at 2 on the replay. And just a tiny little love bite on the exit of 2 there between Mostert and Scotty Pye, just a little one.
This is the spot. This is the one. So he's just needs to be slightly closer to get that mid-corner pace and flow into turn 6.
So on our numbers at the moment, we're seeing a 4.9 second difference in the fuel. It's a 5.79 second lead. So there's less than a second in it between Lowndes and McLaughlin. Do not leave your television set tonight, folks, because if you're a Craig Lowndes fan, this is going to be worth the wait. If you're a Ford fan, huge anticipation that McLaughlin might be able to climb up and add yet another victory to his remarkable tally so far this year, which currently sits at 7. There's the man. Autobahn, car number 888. He's absolutely hammering this thing up 8 positions from qualifying. Driving consistently in what both Mark and I have got absolutely no understanding of how he manages to do it, how he actually manages with his style to hammer the tyres like he does and keep it working to the extent that he does.
Well, we do scratch our heads, but we sort of know. What we sort of know is that he turns the car at the corner very early. He maintains his mid-corner speed, probably one of the best ever in terms of technique. And then what he does is he doesn't smash the throttle pedal. Because he keeps the mid-corner speed up, he doesn't need to apply the throttle too hard on the exit. So his technique has been something in terms of his career that's been quite unique, but it's been ultra successful in terms of what it's yielded him over a long period of time.
You've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah. I get it. But the bit that I guess I should just add the tail to the discussion, why doesn't everybody else do it? But I'll tell you the answer. It's a rhetorical question.
You can't.
It's can't. It's actually not an easy thing to do. It's quite a unique style. Here we go. Tim Blanchard down the inside, I beg your pardon, of a battered and bruised Garth Tander, who's just copping it left, right, centre, behind, in front, every which way tonight. It's had fairly serious rear bodywork modifications on the back of the Wilson security car. Cam Waters down the inside of his teammate, both of them with heavily glowing front brakes on those two Falcons.
Remember those two guys
on the exit.
Well, they won together last year at Sandown, didn't they? So they're not behaving like teammates at the moment. So a pretty healthy exchange with Cam Waters and Richie Stanaway.
Now McLaughlin's done a nice job in the last 2 minutes. He's pulled that margin down to 5.1 seconds, which means that corrected, it's about 0.3, 0.4 of a second at the moment. So McLaughlin is making inroads, Murph.
Yeah, and the Rebel Hot Racing team did go on to alert before when that radio message came through from Shane Van Gisbergen. They just confirmed to me that he reported he dropped the car off the back of a curb off the side of the track somewhere, I'm not quite sure where, and feels that he may have bent that right front rim on that car.
Here we go. Here we go.
Again.
Got him.
Has he? Great motor racing. Tremendous respect. Space between the two of them. Nothing in it when they get to the left-hander at Corporate Hill. Pies out there in the greasy stuff. There's no grip out there, but he's made it work. He's hung on. He is not yielding. He is not blinking. And he's got the blowtorch on him at the moment from Boston.
Did I speak too early?
Just a fraction. Just a fraction. What a great battle between these two guys. Both graduates of Dunlop Super 2. Both earned their top spots in the industry. We saw and celebrated a battle between Mostert and Van Gisbergen at Townsville a few years ago. We're seeing another one here.
50 laps complete, 27 to go.
That's what you don't want to hear, thanks, Adam. You what? 27? I've got no grip. You're kidding me.
That's right. Tyres are worn out. Cars moving around everywhere.
Now, I'm keeping one eye on this, one eye on the computer timing. It's now 4.5 seconds between Lowndes and McLaughlin. Effectively, Scotty's now cleared him. So this is going to be interesting now. At what point do they blink at Autobahn and decide when to take the next stop? It's too far out at the moment. The window's open from a fuel standpoint because critical lap is lap 42. We're into lap 51. The reason I hesitated then was that Tim Blanchard has got a 5-second penalty for getting stuck into Garth Tander. Everybody's getting stuck into Garth Tander today. So when do you blink, Mr. Scaife?
I think you've got to do it as early as you can because we've seen his degradation and the numbers have amazed us.
But there's a happy balance there.
There is.
If you do it too early, rob Peter to pay Paul, you'll be out of tyres at the back end of the race. So can they sneak it along by a few laps? And is there a sweet spot in that mathematical equation? Both those teams will be staring at the data. And remember that Ludo was once the engineer for Craig Lowndes. They together pulled a miracle at Barbagallo Raceway a few years ago that had all of us raising our eyebrows. Now Ludo's in the other camp. He's down there with Scott McLaughlin. They've got similar styles in the way in which they drive the car, but there's nobody quite like Craig Lowndes out there. 4.1 seconds. McLaughlin's clearing the mathematical scenario, but he's still second on the road at the moment.
And the last lap, Lowndes was 0.4 of a second slower than McLaughlin, so he was able to take some ground off him, young Scott. Lucko?
So let's quickly just grab this moment in time. Have a look at Craig Lowndes. So remember...
sorry, Larko, we've got a problem.
Tyre failure, mate. Left-hand front.
We'll come back to you. James has got a drama, and now this is the tyre damage we've talked about here.
It's broken. It's going to broken upright or broken... Yeah. It's gone off the road there now.
Upright, mate. I don't think it's a tyre.
No, I don't think it is either. I think it's something more sinister than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Larko, we will get back to you.
We'll take it easy.
Yeah, it's something, it's a
Broken steering arm or
massive amount of damage going on the front left corner. You can see that front wheel wobbling around for James Courtney, which is a great shame.
Sorry, Lucko.
I think he'll get it back, but it's going to end up back in the garage. Meantime, Everywhere you look around here at the moment, there's something to look at. There's something special unfolding. Got a great battle here between Craig Lowndes and Scott McLaughlin. 5.3 seconds. The reason why it's opened back up, traffic.
Okay, so I was just having another look. So Craig Lowndes, let's have a look at his story. Remember we said they all started on a full tank. We know he's put 7 seconds of fuel in around lap 20. Another 13 odd seconds in at around 34. Lap 42, earliest you can stop and make it home. So Craig's on this trajectory right now. So he can go out to about lap 60 with the fuel in his car. Now, if he puts about another, he's going to come in empty at the end, about 57 litres. So let's pluck a tyre and put it in there. That's going to give you a nice 15, 16 lap run on tyres. So he's in very good shape.
And just adding to that, Larko, when we were looking at James with damage, you were setting up to tell that great story at the Hino HUD. What happened was the margin between Lowndes and McLaughlin opened back up as a result of traffic. It's back out to 5.3 seconds, which puts Lowndes effectively back in the lead of the race.
So do you use this moment in time and capitalise on that gap? There's the damage to the left-hand front. That's clearly a large mechanical failure. And that's broken an upright by the look of it, because the top of the brake rotor has just emerged. It may have actually broken the top wishbone.
Yeah,
hard to know.
A few things it could be.
Yeah.
So back to the interesting theoretical question here. We're keeping one eye on what's going on with Van Gisbergen, because he was reporting weirdness in the right front corner at one stage. Lowndes is holding 5.2 seconds now over McLaughlin. This is what happened to James in replay at turn 3. That's where it failed. I reckon that's happened on the sawtooth curbing at 2. Sometimes you belt the living daylights out of them at 1 as well, and then it's failed the suspension, some area of it. And then as he's offered up some load, when he tried to turn it right there, it didn't want to know about it. Like he didn't end up meeting the wall down there.
Spooky moment when they're like that. No control of the car at all when it's on the loaded side. So this is the traffic you spoke about, Neil, with McLaughlin. So he's now 3 abreast down the inside.
And he will have been held up in his corner exit. So it's not so much what happened down here with Garth and with Rich. It's when he came through the sequence at 10 and 11 and then coming off the corner. So here it is. Yeah, so here we go. So you get in the throttle late. You think at home it can't really make any big deal. Surely it doesn't make that big a deal. It does. 2 or 3 kilometres an hour corner exit speed deficit translates at the other end of the straight.
Lowndes is going to come in.
There he is. So here's the moment that we've been talking about, and McLaughlin goes with him. This is going to be an incredible... Oh, we've got a problem now with Pye.
Same thing.
Is it the same deal with Scotty's car?
Same thing.
Left front corner of Scott Pye's car. Similar problem to Courtney. This is going to be an incredible, intense stop between Lowndes and McLaughlin. This is about the battle for the lead.
And then I'll be waiting for you here, mate. You said just screen, let me know. No screen, Jeff. We'll just do wheels and tyres and fuel and send it. Just be careful that left front, mate. Grab that left front. Grab that left front. Mate, when you drop, you were good to go. Otherwise.
McLaughlin's got fuel in hand. Just a little. It's going to be super tight. Out goes Lowndes. And he's behind. So this effectively gives McLaughlin the lead. This is the master versus the apprentice. How will this play out with 23 laps remaining?
This is going to be fantastic. Lowndes, I reckon his tyres conservation and his tyre wear has been the benchmark. You can't make the ground he's made without that consistency being extraordinary so far. He knows he's in it, and all he needs is this little bit of incentive. So they're right on the same strategy, and Lowndes will have to ensure that he doesn't use the tyre up too early. One of the things about this game is if you go too hard too early, you hurt the tyre in the opening lap and they don't recover. So he's just got to make sure that he's just a little patient and don't lose contact, but don't go too hard too early. That's the message.
And the temptation when the car is gripped up, car 2, and that's completely sliced the inner edge off that rim. But it's not a wheel problem. They've got something going on in the front suspension of those cars. So here's where it happened at a peak load moment on the right front. No, the left front, I beg your pardon, for Scotty Pye. What a shame. He's been having a great run tonight. All right, so Van Gisbergen is the leader of the race over his teammate, Jamie Whincup. Here they are, the Red Bull Holden Racing Team 1 and 2, Caruso and Golding now in. James Golding's having a very good night as well. Young bloke's probably got good eyesight. That'll help the cause around here.
This is a genuine battle now with these guys because there's hardly any difference in terms of their fuel drama in terms of the number that's going to be put in at the next stop. And as a consequence, you're probably seeing Whincup from a tyre consistency standpoint make a bit of ground on Shane in the closing stages here.
And bear in mind, it's only half a second fuel difference between these two guys, which is basically nothing. And remember that Jamie's been the one in the clawback mode in the championship. He moved up to third at Queensland Raceway. Oh, now I just heard somebody else talking about a problem at the front again. Waters is in, Hazelwood is in. Who's that? We're on board here with Chaz. This is Simona in the foreground and Richie Stanaway on the outside.
Simona's been part of some pretty wild stuff tonight also.
Now Reynolds and LeBrock are in. Van Gisbergen, Whincup and Coulthard have stayed out. And we'll watch with interest the margin between McLaughlin and Lowndes.
So, well, that's the gap. Absolutely nothing. And a nice bit of braking.
He's right with him. So, is Craig feeling cheeky, taking more energy from the tyre? Will it hurt him later? Does he have speed in hand? Traffic's playing a role.
He knows. You have a look at the body language, the way he's driving the car. He knows he's right in this.
He's got a sniff.
Yep. Even the exits are straighter. They're narrower.
And he's fifth, Craig Lowndes, in the championship. He's 500 points off the lead. He can afford to be a little more cheeky. Scott McLaughlin's got a 131-point cushion. He needs to protect it. It's not worth a fight to the death because he's really racing Shane Van Gisbergen. He's the guy that's the greatest threat in the championship at the moment. Craig Lowndes is right in his wheel tracks. This is Nick Percat. This is Mac and Dare on the car. He's got a battle going with Todd Hazelwood. So new livery this weekend for car number 8. And look at the rear wing on the back of Todd's car. That's not nice. The centre of pressure on that car is going to move dramatically forward, which is going to make it really hard to drive and actually worry about whether that's going to come unglued.
I wouldn't want... It has, right now. So, good call. That wing has come off there, and that might cause a safety car because you're going to have to be able to run out. There's going to be a big crash. Oh, he's off the road, so he wouldn't have known that that had taken place. So he went off, but he didn't make contact with the fence. But I think, given that the wing is on the road there, you're going to have to call the safety car and get that off the road.
Now that's flag safety car boards.
Here we go.
Flag safety car scramble.
So, as the Vodafone safety car comes out onto the circuit, 20 laps remaining, it's going to be a double stack. So this is going to hurt Whincup. Green tyres there for Van Gisbergen. Yep, they're both in. So everybody trying to take advantage of this. Van Gisbergen, 131 points behind McLaughlin. Whincup, his teammate, right up in behind, but Whincup is 451 points away.
Yeah, and both these guys, even though Jamie Whincup's going to stack, which is going to cost them a lot of time, they've both got a set of green tyres saved through from qualifying. So Shane Van Gisbergen first in. This is going to be very frustrating for Jamie Whincup. Fabian Coulthard is not far behind.
Still clear, 3 seconds remaining, mate. Clear to go. We drop in, clear to go, clear to go.
Red Bull going to action, very efficient as best as they possibly can.
They've done a very nice job of that, Murph.
That's very well managed, wasn't it? Very clean, no panic at all by anybody. Here comes Fabian Coulthard now too.
Just have a look and see whether he can get across far enough, Greg, because he's battled with that all night, hasn't he?
They actually tried to get out of the way for him as well, actually as best I reckon they could, but he's still on a bad angle for Fabian there.
That fuel hose.
And I just spoke to Ryan Story a couple of minutes ago too, just about the situation they were in. And obviously Scott was forced to come in early. This is going to be 4 laps longer than the longest stint he's done so far. Has he got the tyre life?
Well, has he got the tyre life, and is it good enough to hold off Craig Lowndes? That's the story. Whincup's been hurt by the double stack. Van Gisbergen's right in this game. This is going to be intriguing. Here we go. There's the wing coming off Hazelwood. Now, when he turns in, have a look at that for a moment. 270 kilometres an hour. Check this out. And he is spinning off the end of the main straight with no rear downforce. Remember, that car's probably got, they've roughly got 355 kilos of total downforce, but a lot of that, 2/3 of it, comes from the back.
And that's measured at 200 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
So he's doing 270 odd when he gets down there. So that's what I said before, that all of a sudden the aero balance disappears. It all goes to the front. The front wing's too effective because there is no rear wing. That happened in an open wheeler once, and it's a pretty frightening experience. So Vodafone safety car has grabbed the field. McLaughlin over Lowndes. The field is compressed. There's been some double stacking. There's a bit to talk about.
Crompo, I just had a chat with the guys in regards to Todd Hazelwood. I said, did he know it all? And they said, no, the first we saw it was when it was on screen. We tried to tell him, and the next minute he was off the road. So had no warning at all that that wing was loose.
Down here with James Courtney. James Courtney, just look, that's a pretty comprehensive failure you've got on the front of the car, and you just looked me right in the eye and said, this is very fast, the loads are very high.
Yeah, we're going quick. The things, like through turn 1, the things are so lit now. The temperature's good. So, yeah, quick times, just massive loads through these things. So, yeah, we had some sort of failure in the front left-hand corner. I think Scotty had the same. So, boys will have a look at everything, work out what went wrong. It's a shame we had fuel time and a lot of the guys were around. We were trucking along pretty good. Scotty was running good as well. So, disappointing. But, yeah, we're developing these things, mate. We're going to make them faster and get towards the front. So when you're developing on the run, you have failures. So, yeah, it's the risk we run, and today it bit us.
You've had pace this weekend. It's been good, mate. And as we speak, Scotty's high car is just ended up on the stands as well. Good luck next time.
Yeah, mate. Go and grab him.
Now, Shane Van Gisbergen's got green Dunlop Super Soft tyres on this car. He'll be aggressive here, but he's got his own teammate to deal with next in the queue. Interesting. Whincup, the double stack, because of the cushion that he had over Chaz Mostert, even though it looks so painful when the car's sitting there, it hasn't cost him a position. So he's actually got that stationary time back as a free kick. Nothing happened. Yes, it was a long time on the stopwatch, but the lap chart didn't care.
That's right. So he's 2.4 seconds behind Van Gisbergen, and you would have thought it was going to be 15 or 20 seconds in terms of the punishing time that you sit there in the pit area behind. That's Matt Stone carrying that back. Ryan Walkinshaw, Scott Pye, James Courtney all talking about that failure. There's a huge amount of load on the left-hand front, especially over, and you can see the top of the brake rotor hanging out of the mudguard of car 25, especially over those sawtooth curbs. Turn 1, you hit it going so fast with so much steering lock and so much braking load. Very easy to, with those forces, to hurt the left-hand front or front suspension, Lucko.
Yeah, just to put a full stop on Scott Pye's car, did manage to cast an eye over both cars in. An identical failure. It's right at the top of the upright there, complete failure. One can only assume it's a development part, perhaps, because it's an amazing, very similar lap, very similar loads, very similar, not very similar, identical breakage, both cars.
Thanks, Lucko. Yeah, that's what we were thinking, and there's a lot of people on top of our pit building there enjoying the spectacle of tonight. We can't really show you where the failure is, except that that shouldn't be hanging out of there like that. And the guys very quickly step in front of our camera. It's part of the IP, the intellectual property. This is Cam's Race Control and all of the cameras that are locked off in all those separate sections of Sydney Motorsport Park.
The equation is 18 laps remaining. Vodafone safety car is out there. McLaughlin and Lowndes came in together on lap 54. We just saw the double stack between Van Gisbergen and Whincup. They came in on lap 58. They've got 4 lap younger tyres on the 2 Red Bulls.
And they're green.
And they're green, meaning they're fresh and new. Now, Frank Adamson from Supercars also just instructed on the race management channel for car number 35, Todd Hazelwood, to come back in. Not permitted to continue without the rear wing on the car, so they were rolling it around, hoping that they might be able to keep on sneaking around and be classified, but they've actually been instructed to bring it back in. And in fact got a mechanical black flag warning up on race control there as well. Now, Mark Winterbottom is in here as well in car number 5, and I just want to put a full stop on the top runners. So Mostert came in on lap 54 as well. So basically there's 4 laps difference across the top 5 cars for tyre age. There's the rear wing on the back of Todd's car, so they'll need to get the rear wing end plates sorted and secure and refit those, get it back into position, hopefully matching the rear wing angle that they had when they had it out there before. It'll also upset the balance of the car.
It would be a lot better than what he had before.
It would be a lot better than when he was last in anger at turn 1 when it was all rotating. So we'll get the lights out on the Vodafone safety car this time through. We will go racing once again. When the field's compressed like this and there's a lot to play for, there's a chance of aggravation. John McGregor reminding Craig Lowndes of his obligation to fulfil the safety car procedure accurately and not catch a penalty. Highly disciplined in these teams to make sure that nothing goes wrong.
Don't discount for 300 points a very aggressive Shane Van Gisbergen.
Will not.
On a green tyre with the age difference that you just detailed, he actually, from here, should be the man to beat.
And don't discount the aggression underlying with Craig Lowndes. Forget about the smile. Right now, he knows there's a chance to win a race. And I don't think he'll do anyone any favours, including those from within.
The only thing that's good about the safety car for Lowndes and McLaughlin is it's taken some hard laps out of the tyre run. So it's given those tyres a little reprieve. They get a little birthday.
Sometimes this heat cycling helps them.
Yep.
And somewhat equalises things. So, here we go. 17 laps remaining. Hope you're enjoying round 10, race 21, Red Roosters Sydney Super Night 300, Sydney Motorsport Park. We go. Just listen to this. Van Gisbergen, a great start, straight down the inside, and it's Gizzy to P2. McLaughlin's made a bolter. Lowndes got caught. Van Gisbergen's off and running with a brand new tyre.
What happened there? I can't work that out. McLaughlin moved right over to the inside coming onto the straight. Lowndes missed the kick. Van Gisbergen got by. Remember, he did the same thing last year with Scott McLaughlin, and he was able to take full effect of what that was. So Van Gisbergen jumps into second on a fresh tyre.
Down the inside goes Mostert on Whincup. Didn't quite get it done. Now Waters is out of sequence. He's 20th, but he's mixed up with the leaders here at the moment in the Monster Energy Ford Falcon. So the blue flag's being shown here as well to 6:33 and 56.
Yeah, look, we should actually have a rule for these ones where you should be able to drive around and get onto the back of the field and not get caught up in the race. It's unbelievable. Murph?
Boys, I was just thinking about... sorry, there's someone on the fence there. It's Michael Caruso. I just spoke to Andrew Simpson. It's in a Autobahn Racing about that situation. I had 12 months ago in my head with Shane Van Gisbergen and Scott McLaughlin down the front straight. But I said, what was the go there with Lowndes? And they just shook their head and went, he was asleep.
So Fabian Coulthard having a big rush at Jack Le Brocq here. There was a tiny bit of contact there. Now the margin is down between McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen. What a great shot of the cars through one. Gizzy was wide of the line but stayed committed because he's got quality-type grip out there at the moment. He's having a monstrous lunge. Remember, he was the winner last time out in Queensland Raceway. Look how much ground he's taken out of McLaughlin with these tyres. This is for 300 points. These two are first and second in the championship. They're first and second on the road. They've completed all their stops. It's a fair fight to the end in theory. Van Gisbergen is right now all over the back of McLaughlin. How aggressive is Scotty going to play this? How much will he block? And does the edge come off Shane's tyres sooner than later, pushing this hard?
So there's 24 points between first and second in terms of the way the points are attributed this weekend. 300 points up, 300 for a win, 276 for second. Remember last year, Scott McLaughlin lost the championship by 21 points. Van Gisbergen now is playing for keeps.
Watch him at turn 2. He's had a nice exit here. He's getting the benefit of the draft. He's starting to sneak closer by millimetres, but there's aero disturbance through one. Van Gisbergen is on the charge. He's using the grip. McLaughlin runs a bit wide. Here's a chance. He thought about it. Scott dives down the inside, slams that door closed, and Van Gisbergen must go the long way if he's going to do it at 2.
Now, the longer this goes on, the better it gets for Scott. Because if he can resist the aggression, he's got the run.
Watch him at 4.
He's got the run. He's covered him. Now, get a little bit of strike for that. The last-minute move like that. If Van Gisbergen dived there, there was going to be contact. He's giving him a little bump on the way out of 5. He's done the crisscross. He's going to get down the inside. He's not. He's covered. He's moved. There's going to be contact. There is. A little bump on the way into 6.
And Lowndes is right there. Lowndes is there.
Oh,
Wincup's there.
He's giving him a big hit.
He's giving him a fair whack. It's on at Sydney Motorsport Park. McLaughlin's only barely got the lead from Van Gisbergen. They're boxing on at turn 8. Lowndes is there. Whincup is there. There's nothing across the top 4. Shades of 2017 when these two got together here last year. It's repeat cycle 2018 style.
That was massive. On the way up the Corporate Hill there, he gave him a hit and almost speared him into the fence on the left-hand side. He actually purposely got out of the throttle because McLaughlin was off.
Mostert is ranging up to this madness as well. What an incredible motor race we've got on our hands. McLaughlin knows that if he gets by, that is, if Van Gisbergen gets by, he's toast. He has to fight for his life. He knows this is valuable. This is about pride. It's about 300 points. It's about assertiveness. And he's not going to be mowed down by Van Gisbergen. Lowndes is back in the game. They'll all be starting to battle the grip once more. What a great race.
This is the spot. And he knows he tried to get the run. He ran out of road. He couldn't pick the edge of the road there, Van Gisbergen. He actually had the run then. He was going to get down the inside. So where's the position? Where's the best spot for Van Gisbergen to make this move?
Meantime, Mostert is closer to this battle. He's got fresh air at the moment. He's using it wisely. Whincup's right there as well. Lowndes could still win this thing.
Bad sportsmanship, car 1. Bad sportsmanship flag, car 1 exceeding turn 5 track limits.
So you just heard the race director Tim Schenk and Cam's race control. Whincup is being monitored now at turn 5. He's using too much of the road, too hungry on the exit. There he is on the right-hand side of screen behind his teammate Craig Lowndes. Chaz Mostert's in this party too. It's a big party in Sydney tonight for supercar fans as they come out of the final corner.
Van Gisbergen got a great run then, Neil. He made a beautiful exit into the final corner. Car was perfectly straight. He was on the throttle early. He's right in this battle. On the way out of turn 1, does he get down the inside? Scott moves it over early. So what he did then, he already had to move it. And what it does, it makes the middle corner, the line at turn 2, too tight. this is the zone. When you come out of 3, this is where he had the run on him last lap, but made the grass on the left-hand side.
Check out the quality and the intensity of this motor racing, of the ability of these drivers, how hard they're pushing. There's not a skerrick of grip left in these cars. And what McLaughlin is hoping for at the moment is that the benefit on Van Gisbergen's car grip-wise diminishes quickly. And it is absolutely on out there. There is nothing in the sector splits, nothing in the lap times, and McLaughlin fighting for his life.
That was Scott's mum, sister and fiance. Oh, a little bump there in the middle of turn 8. They're looking on. And I think they were nervous smiles rather than any frivolity there, because they know how intense this one is. A couple of young charging Kiwis. One represents Ford Motor Company. The other represents Holden. They're the 2 lead teams. They've got history. They battled here last year. They made contact with each other in last year's race. Scott ended up spinning Shane Van Gisbergen at turn 2.
We've got 11 laps remaining. Van Gisbergen's got a slightly quicker car by virtue of those 4-lap younger Dunlop Super Soft tyres, but they are diminishing returns.
Yes.
With every metre that he travels at the moment, he's neutralising the benefit, and he's having to use a lot of them, a lot of the tyre energy, to be able to even search high, low and around Scott McLaughlin. And so pretty soon, he's going to find himself equalised. And that's what McLaughlin is hoping for. Lowndes has dropped off. It's about these 2 right now.
There's Scott's dad, Wayne, pacing in the corner. He knows the intensity. He certainly wasn't laughing with the girls. He knows exactly what all this means. But your point, Neil, is 100%. As this race unfolds, if McLaughlin can hold him off, the better and better and better it will be. Because the newer tyre will start to lose some of its edge. He's got pace again now. Look at that nice exit by Shane. This is Whincup trying to make a move on Craig Lowndes.
And it's not on quite yet. So to go around the outside down there would be hard work for Jamie. Now he tries to crisscross him. He's actually gone back to 2nd gear in the final corner to be able to sneak out the other side, and has got him. 4 laps difference in the tyres there. Meantime, here comes Gizzy once more. Now it's at turn 1. 270 kilometres an hour. He pulls it out of the draft. He's very wide. You'll try and undercut him on the other side. But it's not that simple. He's got him covered for another lap down there at turn 2. That is Scott McLaughlin. So Whincup moves to 3rd.
This is the spot.
He's moving it around, trying to find a way to get a better exit. This might be the one.
This is the
He's
spot.
up the inside. Here comes Shane Van Gisbergen. He has sliced one down the inside and grabbed the lead of that race.
Beautifully constructed pass. That was the spot. For 2 or 3 laps we've known that the run from turn 2 to turn 3 and then over the hill into 4 was where he had a gain. He backed it off early. He turned it in late for turn 3. He come out of the corner perfectly and got the run down the inside. In terms of execution, it doesn't get any better. Beautifully done, Shane Van Gisbergen.
Nice work. Sat it up high at 3. So this is down at 2. And you can hear Scott paddling the throttle, trying to get it mobile. Now watch the way he arcs this corner. He starts up high, cuts down low, gets the throttle in earlier than Scotty, and he's got 4 or 5 kilometres in hand when they cross the top of the crest there in the run into 4, and McLaughlin was toast.
Beautifully done. Now because he's on a younger tyre, it was a green tyre also, because he's on a younger tyre, you can see the Holden fans erupt. Almost 34,000 people have just witnessed a couple of Kiwis at the top of their game. Don't discount our 7-time champion, who's also onto the back of McLaughlin.
And has just further improved the lap record mark on that very lap, a 129.8 for Whincup. Meantime, here's an explanation as to what happened with Caruso. Oh, that was close to actually rolling there on the run out of 6. Whew. Was that with Di Pasquale?
I think so, yeah. That is wild. I've never seen a car on the right-hand side of you.
No,
over there.
not in that spot. And it actually ended up in the air at one point.
And boys, just want to give you a reminder too, Jada behind Scott McLaughlin catching very quickly. He was on a green set of tyres as well. Both those cars, when they came in and double stacked, bolted on that green set. And I can tell you there's a very different philosophy between, on the tyre pressure side of things, between the Red Bull Holden Racing team and Team Penske. A big, significant difference between what they're running between those two cars. And that, I thought, had a big effect at the start of that, the restart after that safety car, but it's continuing on.
You're suggesting that they were higher at Red Bull?
Oh, I might be suggesting that, yes, by a significant margin.
Yeah.
Yep. No recollection, Your Honour?
Yeah, no recollection.
This isn't a Royal Commission, Murph. You can say it. It's okay.
Yeah, significant difference in that direction, as you were suggesting.
Okay. So that explains a bit of the early pace. So they might have nudged them up knowing that they're near the back end. But does that mean that later in the stint they're battling? We've still got 8 laps remaining. Wow, 1.5 seconds between Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin.
So check this out. So this is the start of all the drama that we saw between Shane and Scott. This is when the first part of the battle started to unfold. So this is between turn 4 and turn 5. Then he comes back, gives him a hit, tries to fire down the inside. Scott moves over, so does Shane. Have a look how far to the driver's left, our right that they've gone. Little bump into 6th. Now watch this. This is up the hill to Corporate Hill. Bang! And he almost goes in the fence on the left-hand side. That is as wild as you will ever see. What a great exchange.
Great exchange, and at that point, Shane's right on the limit. Ryan Story massively unhappy about that, but he's right on the limit. You can tell that it was almost a boil-over inside car 97 at that point. Now, Whincup is sweating on the back of Scott McLaughlin. And just to explain this, the safety car has worked very well for the Red Bull Holden Racing team here. It afforded them the opportunity to come in, Wayne McLaughlin watching, and grab those tyres before laps younger than car number 17 that they're racing. And they've applied them well, but they look like they've also got very good balance in the late stage of the race in cars 1 and 97 as well at the moment. 1.7 seconds is the gap, Van Gisbergen over McLaughlin. Now Scotty's got big pressure from Whincup. So Whincup's got a bit of extra pace, and now we're seeing a carbon copy. Does he try and do what Shane did? He will have seen it, Jamie Whincup. He will have spotted it, had the best seat in the house earlier. 7 laps remaining, and it might be a Red Bull Holden Racing Team 1 and 2. McLaughlin will do everything in his power to try and hang on here, but he doesn't want to end up in the weeds, go all the way back to the pre-start. I was talking about how important it is to make sure that you do finish this race. If you don't have the pace, is it worth a DNF?
Definitely not. Absolutely not. But have a look at the championship numbers based on the current positions. If they finish as they are, 107 points it comes back to. Van Gisbergen has closed the gap by 24 points. If Whincup gets by, that's another 18 points, so it goes back to 89 points if Whincup is able to get by Scott McLaughlin. This is a big championship moment.
Boys, just looking at this championship moment, looking at what Scott McLaughlin's fighting here too. There's 3 888 race cars fighting him. He's the lone soldier for Penske. How much pressure has he got on him from these guys working together, putting the pressure on him, trying to get him to make the mistake? Where's Fabian Coulthard in this? He's not helping.
Yeah, it's a big point, isn't it, Murph? It's going to come down to what assistance you can actually give. That was a big slide moment, wasn't it? Neil was making the point in the commentary box here and how much understeer and how wide that car went. But I think you're going to find a setup, the execution and construction of the pass that Shane was able to put on. Doesn't look like Jamie's quite as quick out of turn 3 over into 4, but he does look like he's quite good out of 5 up to 6. So maybe he can get the car up there. Now remember, he's already got the bad sportsmanship flag, hasn't he, Whincup, on the way out of 5. So he's got to be a little bit more contained there.
He's out of lives there at the moment. Yep. At turn 5, Jamie Whincup. Post-race investigation has been confirmed by CAMS Race Control between what happened there with Michael Caruso and Anton De Pasquale. We're glued to this battle for the minors. Second and third being disputed. McLaughlin versus Whincup. Van Gisbergen has bolted 2.4 seconds. The new lap record has been set by Jamie Whincup, and he's trying to thread the needle at the moment en route to P2. It's not done. There's the leader off in the distance. Now Whincup's got the challenge that was met by Shane Van Gisbergen, and that is it possible to find a way round? And it will not be a simple process. 5 laps remaining. This wonderful night exchange in Sydney.
Haven't they turned it on? That battle between Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin is as good as we see. Through the course of the championship, there's been some real defining moments, and that pass by Van Gisbergen will be one of them. That was a big moment. I've said a couple of times there that to try to get the run, you've got the car on the slide, you can't quite determine where the edge of the road is. And some of the best operators, I've seen Lowndes do it, I've seen Van Gisbergen do it, and now Whincup do it. Clearly it's hard to pick the edge of the road at turn 3.
To see Jamie there over-accentuating to make sure that he didn't actually step wide of the yellow line down there at turn 5. He cannot afford a transgression there. There is an electronic loop. It doesn't lie.
So this is worth 18 points. So if Whincup can get by, it brings that margin back in the championship from 107 points currently between Scott McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen. It comes back to 89. So we said this was going to be an important race, and pro rata points per kilometre, the most important race of the year thus far. Good run by Whincup there onto the main straight. He's trying to get a little toe. Scott moves it over, but when you do that, you narrow your line on the way into the first corner, and that compromises the exit. And has a little bit. Whincup struggling to get close enough there to be able to make a move. The crisscross in the middle of this corner sometimes works. So he's giving him a bump, a bump, a bump, a bump. And then, again, what can he do on the run out of 3? He's got a pretty nice run. Does he have a dive? He has a dive. Oh, my God, that's close.
Nothing in it. He rattled on him at turn 2. He's needled him on the run into 4. He was close to running out of space there then, Whincup. He sits it up high at 6. He's looking to try and crisscross, but Scotty's onto it.
He's there.
He's there. He's going to get it up here, but he's on the wrong side of the road when they get down. No, he's cleared him. He actually cleared him in the mid-corner.
Beautiful.
Nice work. So now, Red Bull Holden Racing Team 1 and 2. Van Gisbergen skipped away by 4.5 seconds over Whincup, and that was an impressive move. I didn't think he was going to get him there. I thought it was going to leave him on the wrong side of the road when they got to the next corner. But I don't think, for whatever reason, the balance on this tyre set for Scott is as good as we've seen earlier. It is cooler.
You're all the mate. 3 to go.
These are numbers.
Eyes forward, turn 5, mate. Keep it
89 points. He got a little balked by the lap car there, then he turns it back, the very late apex, and just gets the nose there. There's a straight section on the way up the hill. But what you said, I didn't think he'd get around there clean, but he dived it in there so hard, he plunged into there so hard, there's no way he could make it.
And there was a telling shot then on board. They're pretty happy at Red Bull.
Yeah.
A telling shot on board McLaughlin's car was the mid-corner oversteer around the back of the hill. So I don't reckon the balance is quite there for him at the moment. Now it's just about preserving where he is. Now, it might be the case that Lowndes gets in here too. That's Craig over the crest at turn 4. And he is 1.4 odd seconds behind.
Yep.
Scotty McLaughlin. Just a whisker under a second and a half.
We'll give you a lap time in a second just to see whether Lowndes has got the opportunity. You can see there the gap. As you said, Neil, it's roughly 1.5 seconds. So Lowndes will be incentivised to get on with the last couple of laps. He's always driving the car as hard as he can. He drives the wheels off them. He's done a remarkable job tonight, Craig Lowndes. He's up 5 positions. Nick Percat's done a very good job. this evening. He's up 13 positions, so that's a great run from young Nick.
And on that topic, Mark, Jack LeBrock is 9. Tim Slade, who at one point was pointing the wrong way down at turn 2, he's up in 11th position. That's a heck of a comeback.
So in the championship discussion that you've got to have on a night when the risk versus reward is so high, Lowndes, to be able to get by Scott McLaughlin, will yield another 18 points. So if he's able to make a move on McLaughlin in the closing stages, that then goes back to 71 points between McLaughlin and Van Gisbergen. So everyone at Triple Eight will be saying, go Craig. Everyone in the Ford camp will be saying, go Scott. And that's the current number, 89 points, with Van Gisbergen and Whincup ahead of Scott McLaughlin.
2 laps remaining. Shane Van Gisbergen's got this one stitched. He's going to move this championship around significantly off the back of this race. When you stop and consider his 131-point margin coming in, on target to make it 89 off the back of it. That's a heck of a turnaround. That makes things interesting as we head to the bend, back to South Australia for the second time in 2018. We're very much looking forward to that journey in several weeks. So it'll move his career tally on to 29, and it'll make Shane Van Gisbergen's victory tally this season 5, and that is impressive. He's been very, very solid. If you look along the season chart that we run, he's just been solidly scoring week in and week out. Roland Dane said to us a little while ago that qualifying was their weakness. They've slowly but surely started to resolve that issue.
I'll go to the inside, down to the last corner.
Fantastic motor race between Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin just a few laps ago, resolving in favour of Van Gisbergen. But I think in the end it was more than just the 4 laps difference in tyres, because he's now got Van Gisbergen over McLaughlin is nearly 7 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's a car that's working well in these conditions. Round the back of the hill for the last time tonight. Turn 8, second gear. Whincup in the background.
Copy, mate. You're going to the inside out of the last corner. Watch out for pickup. Be real careful. And fireworks on the front straight.
Got a little
So
form finish going.
A form finish here, so he's moving to the inside to let Jamie get up on the outside. Out of the last corner after 300 exciting kilometres under the Sydney sky. Lights ablaze. Congratulations, Shane Van Gisbergen, winner, race number 21.
Remind him about the ride day tomorrow, but I want you to have some fun, man. Yeah, that's so cool. Awesome, guys. If I do a big skid in front of the grandstand, which would be awesome, what's the fine for that?
It's great for the fireworks to go off, and he's just looking for instructions now as to where he's going to do some of his burnout action. He wants to do it in front of the grandstand. The boys are doing a rides day. I think it's actually tomorrow or Monday, so they've got to make sure they don't do too much damage to this car as a consequence. But have a look at the fireworks here. Have a look at the form finish. Well done to everyone involved in making that happen, because what a way to finish what has been a stunning night race and a return to night racing in Sydney.
Well done, Shane Van Gisbergen. 300 points credited to his account. Very impressive drive. Right on the limits, though. Right on the acceptable limits when it came to the push and shove with Scott McLaughlin. I don't think he could go 1% more or he'd raise the eyebrows in Cam's race control. Let's have a look at those results for you. Race number 21, home by 0.2 of a second in a form finish for the Red Bull Holden Racing Team. Shane Van Gisbergen from New Zealand over Jamie Whincup. Scotty McLaughlin hangs on for a podium in 3rd position. A tremendous performance by the young guy. And nice work, Dick Johnson Racing Team Penske. They'll be disappointed though, 4.2 seconds off in the end. Some of that was strategy and luck. Some of it I think was car balance. Craig Lowndes qualified 9th, finished 4th. Congratulations to him in his final Sydney Motorsport Park drive in a supercar. Chaz Mostert, still buoyant, still looking good. So it wasn't a fluke at Queensland Raceway. Rick Kelly, David Reynolds, Nick Percat, congratulations on a fine performance. So too Jack LeBrock and Tim Slade to get into the 10 after being turned around. And looking further down the order there, obviously for Pye and for Courtney, it was a disappointing night with mechanical failure there, sidelining both of those cars. Spectacular scenes with fireworks completing our race. More fireworks inside the cabin, car number 97, Shane Van Gisbergen. Torches another set of Dunlops.
And the fans have been treated to a classic display of supercar racing this evening. And so good to see so many of our patrons from this part of the world come and join us at a famous racetrack. He can't see, he doesn't know where he is. It's hard enough in the dark, let alone dark with smoke. If you go dark plus smoke equals stopped. That's what it is. Now he's got to get himself organised. He did that. He's let them all go, which is the right thing to do because he didn't know where he was, and now he knows exactly where he is as he puts on a trademark Van Gisbergen display in front of a packed house at Sydney Motorsport Park.
Where he is en route to the Virgin Australia Victory Lane. He pulls up in position down there. We'll hear from him in just a moment. So there are a couple of things for the Driving Standards Advisor to look at post-race. But our podium tonight, Van Gisbergen, Whincup and McLaughlin. Craig Lowndes missing out just. Great atmosphere. Lots of fun tonight. And some great driving. And in comes Shane. Position number 1 this evening. Normally we say at this point 150 points, but it's a double dose. Look at that thing, smouldering. That was a nice drive, big energy. Congratulations, Shane Van Gisbergen. He owns Sydney tonight.
Okay, bro. Great work, good job.
He knows, when he said good job, he knows how important that was for Whincup to be able to grab McLaughlin in the championship chase. Another 18 points. Roland Dane, all the lads, Tim Miles. It's a full New Zealand connection.
So, nice to see Scott McLaughlin arrive in there as well, just to offer his congratulations and a nice show of sportsmanship between the two Kiwis. Smoke signals tonight from Shane Van Gisbergen. It spells 300 points. Here's Reed.
Thanks, Crompo. Shane Van Gisbergen, there you are. Congratulations back in the Virgin Australia Victory Lane. What a race, what a night. We made history here at Sydney Motorsport Park and you're standing on the top step. Well done.
Yeah, it took a long time for that race to come alive. It was pretty stale and then the safety car came out and it was awesome. Scotty was driving really well and he defended awesomely. Gave him a couple of bumps, but he wasn't phased and enjoyed that. And then unfortunately, I think he had some pickup and we got back through. But 1-2 for the team. Thanks to the guys. Really awesome weekend. And thanks to everyone coming out. Awesome event. Loved it. Thank you.
What was it like doing burnouts for the crowd? They were electric all night tonight. They loved it. They loved your style. I mean, you must have enjoyed that part of it.
I wanted to come down here and do it in front of the grandstand, but they wouldn't let me, so I had to pay the fine. But yeah, it was cool to do a skit anyway.
Enjoyed the celebrations on the podium. Shane Van Gisbergen. Jamie Whincup, a 1-2 for Red Bull Racing Australia. Pretty nice work, but you had to work for it tonight as well.
Yeah, obviously mega day, mega night for the team. I was pretty lucky to get going at the start. I had flat battery and I thought it was going to be all over before it even started, but thankfully got a bit of a bump start. The car started and yeah, great strategy by the crew. We 1-2, happy days.
any day you get a safety car and then you have to double stack, usually your day is over, but that actually worked in your favour.
Yeah, I knew we were in stacking risk, but then the fourth was so far behind at that stage, the risk was quite small. So, no, really good night. I really enjoyed the atmosphere. I've been talking about this for about 3 years, I reckon, doing night racing, and yeah, I reckon it's great.
I can tell you're pumped. Enjoy those celebrations on the podium with the team. Scott McLaughlin, sorry, Shane, I think you're just having a chat about those bumps. I can tell when you got out of the car, there was a few big deep breaths. That was intense out there.
Oh, I tried so hard to keep them behind, but yeah, great strategy call by them. Well done to Shane, well done to Jamie. Sorry to the Ford fans, I couldn't get it done for you. I'm absolutely gutted. So, yeah, to everyone at Shell V-Power Racing, look, we had a great car today, but I've got a great team, great pit stops, great strategy. Unfortunately, just the safety car came at the wrong time, but look, I'm stoked. Good points today, and we'll move on. But thanks again to everyone for the support. It's been an awesome weekend, and thoroughly enjoyed under the lights. It was awesome.
I can tell you're a little bit shattered with the result, but trying to hold off Shane there after that safety car, we enjoyed that battle immensely.
Oh man, I was trying my bloody damn hardest to hold him back, but yeah, well, the highlight of my night's doing the floss at the start. Yeah, that'll do.
Enjoy the podium. Well done.
Hey, Craig Lowndes, mate, it all started tonight with an amazing reception out there at the front of the grandstand at this race, and then you went out there and put on another display of amazing driving. It looked like you were having a lot of fun.
Oh, we were, Murph, and I think that as the race unfolded, it came to us. That safety car didn't come to us at the right time. I think that we had a good gap, and we were trying to manage that over Scotty before that last round of stops, and then, of course, with that safety car, it bunched everyone up. Shane obviously had a good restart, got inside of me down into turn one. I was struggling to turn left. My front right was hurt, but other than that, like, Jamie got by. Then they were attacking poor old Scotty, and we didn't know what was going on.
When was the last time you saw a crowd like this at Sydney Motorsport Park? How amazing has it been tonight?
It's awesome, and hopefully people sort of look at what night racing's all about, and hopefully keep cracking on about this, that we need more of it. I think it's fantastic. I love it, and I think that the drivers enjoy it because it's obviously cooler. We have fantastic racing like you saw those closing stages.
Thanks, buddy.
Cheers.
Craig Lowndes, Autobarn Racing, Triple Eight Race Engineering, position number 4 tonight. Still got that trademark smile. Nice job. 89 points is now the new margin between first and second between McLaughlin and Shane Van Gisbergen. So he's closed that down from 131 to 89. Jamie Whincup, 433 adrift. Craig Lowndes started the weekend 500 points behind. He's now 518 points behind in 4th. Reynolds is still in 5th. It's time now to celebrate under lights in Sydney.
It's time to celebrate in style. Race 21 here at the Red Rooster Sydney Super Night 300. Introducing your third place driver, driving for the Shell V-Power Racing Team, Scott McLaughlin. And with the third place trophy from Pertec, it's Stephen Dutton. In second place tonight for the Red Bull Holden Racing Team, it's Jamie Whincup. Brent Felice from Cooper's Brewery with our runners-up trophy. Representing today's winning team, the Red Bull Holden Racing Team, it's the boss, Roland Dane. And with the winning team trophy from Red Rooster, our naming rights sponsor, it's Travis Tomset. And now, Sydney, it's time to make some noise for your winner tonight over 300 Ks for the Red Bull Holden Racing Team. Here we go for Shane Van Gisbergen. And from Red Rooster with the winning trophy tonight, it's Chris Walsh. It's been a massive night here tonight in Sydney, the Red Rooster Sydney Super Night 300, and it's time to celebrate in style.
Congratulations to Shane, to Jamie, and to Scotty. We saw some highly intense motor racing out there. And remembering again, just to remind everybody that we're off to Tailem Bend next time out. South Australia to the Bend, brand new circuit. Another wild card, another change to the tempo at this year's Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. What a beautiful way to conclude things here this evening. Brilliant. Roland Dane with his back to camera up on the podium, and they can take a lot of joy in this performance tonight. I'm enjoying these fireworks. So lighting up the night sky in Western Sydney. We're about 40 kilometres from the CBD, but all the focus out here this evening. What a cool show. What a great sight that is, looking back across to the centre of the complex. Fireworks above and fireworks on the racetrack.
For a limited time, there's corporate benefits for everyone on selected Lexus vehicles, including 3-year, 60,000-kilometre complimentary scheduled servicing. That's on top of what you'd normally receive, such as a service loan car, and 24-hour roadside assistance on selected models. Visit your Lexus dealer before August 31st.